Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the fanfiction guy, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Got a Unique Curse? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic.
The day was cloudy. Dark clouds hung in the sky, bringing forth a harsh downpour of rain. The day couldn't get any worse, or so the woman thought. The harsh wind blew harder than before, bending the sturdy trees. Ever since they moved to this place, it's been one hardship after another. It was stressful, their lives, but the woman would rather have her own life stressful while her son's life stays joyful. The woman stared out the window, watching as the tops of the trees bend over and their limbs touching the ground as from the harsh, whistling wind. She jumped once the sound of lightning and rolling thunder crashed raucously overhead. Her green gaze settled on the dark hallway when she heard fast-approaching footsteps. The woman sighed, knowing who it was and why they're out of their room. A green blur and then a weight on her lap. She ran her hand through the boy's green mess known as his hair. The booming of thunder crashed down, this one heavier and longer than before. Her 4-year-old son flinched and curled up further into her. The woman looked out the window for a little longer, rocking her son and humming in means to calm him down. Looking down at him, she sees bright, bloodshot, green eyes staring past his bangs. He sobbed harshly, hiccuping and stuttering every now and then as he tried to speak. Mama, they won't leave. I still see them everywhere. I want them, they need to go. It broke her heart, seeing her son in such a state. Ever since he was born, he'd stare off into space, or at someone, something, and burst into tears. She never understood why her son would react to nothing in such a way, and it was heartbreaking when she found out. Izuku, it's all right, she murmured. It wasn't okay. Things weren't okay with her son seeing these things that she couldn't see herself. How could everything be okay? They can't touch you. They will never harm you, not as long as I'm around. She calmed him down to the point he fell asleep. She didn't need him to get sick. No, never again. How she remembered that day. That one day, he had gotten so sick, she rushed him to the hospital where she learned that he was overly stressed with fear. It was surprising to say the least that even the doctors were baffled with finding the boy, barely a toddler with a fear so grand that it caused him to get sick. When the boy awoke, eyes were wide and sweeping across the room. Then the screaming began with big fat tears rolling down his cheeks. He was leaning away from something that they couldn't see. He reacted well when someone was touched him, leaning into them and turning his head to look away from whatever he was seeing. But if no one was touching him, he reacted terribly. The 2-year-old was seeing something horrific, but the doctors had no clue what. They wanted to say the kid was insane, but that would be impossible since babies' cognitive abilities, their thought processes, weren't fully developed yet. No way could a baby be showing symptoms of insanity. They came to the conclusion that it was his quirk. He was born with a quirk and they had no idea how to help him. They suggested for therapy once his cognitive ability was shown, or when he could speak. They also told her to go to the doctors once he spoke, so they could evaluate the situation and run a few tests. They also told her to tell him to never speak to whatever he's seeing. It may not be a good idea for the kid to do that, even if it turns out to be his imagination. When young Izuku started speaking, they found out just exactly what was in the room. It was an honest mistake. The doctor asked him to describe the thing. They didn't know. They knew it was a ghastly thing, something so horrible that the child lived in fear every single day of his life. He gave them a hair-raising description, so thought out that they could almost picture it. One nurse had gotten sick and threw up when he got to the part that dealt with one or more limbs being missing, or even when these things were hanging out of their stomachs. The description was so detailed, they knew it couldn't be his imagination. They knew of his mother and how she was. She couldn't stand the thought of horror, so they knew she didn't plant these ideas in his head. He was told to speak with it and it appeared, attempting to take the boy away. He was saved afterwards, but the trauma was done. It was then when he had started wearing dark-tinted sunglasses. He never took them off. He never wanted to take them off. He had finally found a way to get away from the creatures his mother called ghouls. He was strictly told to never speak about this ability with anyone. He never did. Not until he started seeing shadows hanging onto some people. He never spoke to someone about it, but he told his mother. It wasn't until he touched one woman's shadow and saw her on a bed unmoving. He told the woman what he saw, but she only shook her head and muttered about how something like that was not funny. It was not until later a man, one who he saw with the woman, came, yelling at him and accusing him of something. He didn't understand what was being said. His mother, on the other hand, did. She told the man to leave and told Izuku to never speak to any adults who he didn't know. Never speak about these shadows. Don't touch them or tell anyone about anything if you do touch them. The only things that brought him joy was his mother and seeing his favorite heroes battle villains. Seeing them battle bad people sparked the dream to become a hero. He hoped to become a hero even if he had to deal with seeing these ghouls. No matter what, he wanted to always be there to help people. He wanted to prove that he was strong, that this ability would not hinder him. He was going to be one of the best heroes ever. He stares at the ground, gripping the straps of his backpack. He stares at the ground, ignoring the things that are in his peripheral vision. Although he wears black-tinted sunglasses, that doesn't stop his peripheral vision screwing him over. He sees the shadows that hang onto people as they pass him by. He had to pick the one day that the sun doesn't show mercy to the recipients of its warmth. He can't wear his usual hoodie without basically burning to death. He ignores everyone and turns the corner into an alleyway, looking past the sunglasses and into the shadows. He cannot see him, but he can hear the raspy breathing that sounds like someone with nasal problems decided to run 10 miles. The green eyes hidden behind the spectacles lands on a blurry, almost non-existent figure. He stares with indifference, not even showing emotion when it speaks with a cold, raspy voice that reminds one of dragging a sandpaper over rock. Take them off, cham pi on. Death hates. Need them off. Take them off. Izuku sighs and does as he's told. Before him stands a male wearing a cloak that shadows his face. A visible aura of purple and gold flares around him, bringing the sensation of cold. Dead-like cold that chills one to the bone. Drops of blood comes from the sleeve. A pungent odor of decay fills the alleyway, mixing with the smell of hot, steamy garbage. If the teen wasn't used to revolting stenches, he would have heaved out his stomach right then and there. He knows that if the man is to rid himself of the black garment, then he would see the rotting flesh that loosely hangs off white bone. He never once ever thought he'd be in this man's presence. And maybe in another universe, he never is in this man's presence. Maybe he never knows of him. If anyone who knows the kid, they'll be surprised by the fact that he actually listened. The only people he listens to is his mother and death. Is there something you need from me? A 15-year-old speaking to the embodiment of death. How is this boy still alive and still sane? To stand in the mere eyesight of the Grim Reaper is a sentence to the afterlife. Cham pi on. Death needs cham pi on. The slow speaking of the psychopomp only irritates the young human. His patience thin with this specter, he keeps his mouth closed, knowing what happens if he's to disrespect him. He beholds the phantom of endings, waiting for him to speak what he needs to speak about and just needing to go on his way. This is the first time he's spoken to the Grim Reaper in so long. What was that poem someone made on the Grim Reaper? He can't remember. He's read too many of them to remember a specific poem. So many on the Reaper. So many speaking of his deeds. One, he remembers. One said to not fear him for he is a friend and not a foe. His eyes are on the Reaper, who has many poems and stories from so long ago about and so many new poems and stories being written even now. AC, sept fate. AC, sept. Gift jiv, n. Less t, aror. More po, were, full. He, ro. Cham pi on b. He, ro, yes. This can help. Izuku is hesitant. Less terror. Does that mean he won't be afraid if he accepts Death's offer? No, he isn't willing to do so. He can't do that. He doesn't trust him. Yes, I want to be a hero. I can't, I don't know. Let me just think about it. The arm rises. The sleeve slips down, revealing bony fingers. 3 fingers up. 3 fingers down on his skin. A skeletal hand tattoo is now on his wrist. 3 fingers up. It's a reminder, he notes, a reminder of Death's words. 3 times close to dying. Sham pi on shall take. Shall AC, sept gift. Force, fully. Pain, fully. Death's champion is thus left alone. He sighs, pressing a hand against his chest. A warm breeze picks up as he walks out, putting on his glasses and heading home. 3 times. He makes it sound like he'll come close to dying more than once. That's absurd, right? There's no way that he'll come close to dying. Then again, Death will always get what he wants no matter what stands in his way. He may just force it, but that'll go back on his promise that he made when he was younger. He looks up, staring at the bridge that suspends over the waters below. He sees someone there, standing on the edge and looking down. Sliding his glasses down, he sees the shadow. Might as well explain more about this cursed child. Midoriya Izuku, age 15, quirkless, cursed to be Death's champion. He knows what the shadow means and he isn't sure what to do. He pulls on a mask so that it covers his mouth. Hesitation takes him before he sighs, walking over and sitting down on the edge beside them. Hello, what do you want? They snap, glowering at him. If you're here to change your mind. No, I'm not here to change your mind. I cannot do that. I'm here to chat, but I'll leave and let you continue on your way if you want. After all, the only one that can change your mind is your own self. Hell, I would do this if I didn't have to worry about my mom. Not to mention, Death will never allow me it. He'd save me before anything can happen to his champion. Which brings the question, can I die? I have my parents too, but that doesn't mean anything to me. I am after all a villain. The disgust in his voice catches the green-haired teen's attention. He takes a breath, taking off his glasses and revealing his irises to meet the violet gaze of the insomniac-looking kid. He ignores the ghouls at the edge of his vision, keeping his attention towards the guy who appears to be near his age. It has to do with your quirk. He guesses, and he guesses right. He turns towards the waters below. I told you, I'm only here to talk. I can't change your mind, but maybe talking can at least help you be at peace. I don't force people. Wanting to talk is all on you. If you want to continue with this, tell me and I'll leave. Reluctantly, I can't forcibly prevent a death. It sucks. I can save people, but only if they want it. Like a hero saving others who call for help. Skeptical. The guy is skeptical. He's like Izuku. They've been hurt by people, not by their family, but by those around them. It's sickening, this world is. Izuku, wanting to be a hero, is constantly put down by his lack of quirk. His eyes, they're cursed so they don't count as a quirk. What's your name? It's nothing important. I'm not an exchanger of names. You can make me one. Izuku shrugs nonchalantly, turning towards the horizon. His eyebrows furrow. Who is this guy? Why is he here? Why does he want to help me? Talk to me if he won't give me his name. You want to talk? Fine, but I'm not going to give you a name. Nor am I going to tell you mine. Fair enough. They speak for a while, and as they speak, he sees the shadow fade away slowly. Maybe this was a good idea. He spoke, and the mysterious boy slowly changed his mind. He listens as the other rants, spills his woes and sorrows. Soon, they come to a silence. Izuku stands, puts on his glasses, and says, "We've all come to choices such as these. We stand at the crossroads and don't know what's ahead. Sooner or later we have to choose. Some choose to live, others choose to die. What will you choose?" The nameless boy watches the other walk away, leaving the mind controller with a choice that gambles life and death. His mind is at work, weighing the options and thinking of possible outcomes. He looks out towards the horizon and he's made up his mind. He walks away from the edge, heading home with a smile. Shinsu Itoshi chose to live that day and death didn't receive him. No, he won't, and he can tell why. This boy will be crucial. Izuku arrives to his destination, smiling and greeting his mother. He tells her what happened and she sighs. Death, such an odd creature. Why did it have to choose you to hold this power? Curse. Izuku mentally corrects her. No matter what she thinks, he will think of it as a curse. She tells him that dinner is ready and to go wash up. As she watches his retreating back, she sighs again, this time a solemn expression on her face. She wants the best for her son, but he had to be chosen and thinks of himself in a low manner. She tries to help him use this for a better way, but nothing. He won't take the help. The fortunate part, the ghouls stay away. They can't touch him unless he initiates the touch or speaks to them. Her son can save many lives, but no one will listen. No one will ever take him serious. Her thoughts drift back to the man, that wretched man that worsened his condition by calling him cursed and spreading rumors to the point the small family had to move away. He's just a child, she argued. She argued so much, but no one listened. He's so kind-hearted. It's a shame no one wants to listen. School, the following morning, is hectic. A pebble flies through the air and drops to the ground. The clacking sound of the rock hit the pavement is enough to bring forth a flinch from a green-haired teen. He quickens his pace and keeps his head down, hoping to be ignored by his classmates. Hey, fucking Deku. He's roughly grabbed from behind and pushed to the side by his blonde bully. Stand out of my fucking way. He says nothing, regaining his balance and fixing his glasses. He always received weird looks for them, albeit being inside or it being cloudy. Right now, the situation is it being cloudy. He ignores the whispering of the others and just goes to being by himself, unconsciously scratching at his wrist. Izuku Midoriya learned long ago that in life, not all men are created equal, and in death, all men are equal, and with those two lessons in mind, he perseveres with his goals. He knows that some will have special privileges in life, but death does not care who you are and will treat you like it treats everyone else. This is something he cannot stand about existence itself, but even then, he can't help but agree with it. He will not let others bring him down when he knows that in the afterlife there will be nothing memorable about them. Those who believe are on the top. They will be brought down by their ankles if they think they'll get whatever they want. Death is merciless. Cross death and you'll cease to exist, thinks Deku as he watches their retreating backs. No matter who you think you are right now, death will never care for it. He will always get what he wants. I almost pity everyone when I think about it. Almost. Being Death's champion has some great things, but even then, those things will suck. Death doesn't do things unless he gets something out of it. Consequences, consequences, consequences. Greed, greed, greed. Despair, despair, despair. That is all he knows of death. Even then, death has taken care of him and keeps him from perishing. That is what confuses him. Why him? Why choose him out of everyone else in this world? He has no answers and death will never tell him. The teen writes his thoughts on death, thanks to a variety of religions and cultures that deal with him. Some portray death as female and some just speaks how they think the forebringer of the end looks. He theorizes all of it, making a large puzzle that he needs to piece together. Death is cryptic, so how can he know what he is planning to do with the young human? What is Death's end goal dealing with a slightly sleep-deprived teenager? He highlights aspects in his personality, lacking of body language, and whatever power he can think of that isn't of the obvious. Deku, crap. Listing off people that Izuku would rather speak to is not that hard. There are so many people that he would have a conversation with, but Katsuki Bakugo is not one name on that list. Never will be and never has been since for a long period of time. The day is over and now he is going to be harmed because of something stupid that goes on in that messed up head of his. He scrunches up into himself, holding his notebook about death and the variety of notes and poems that he's written down. Sadly, the blonde snatches the notebook from him, staring at the cover page. What the hell is this? Death analysis. What the hell? Are you fucking insane or some shit? You're a freak and want to become a hero. You're quirkless and a freak. No one will ever take you seriously. So listen and listen well. You won't try to get into UA. And maybe if we're lucky, you'll be long gone from this country, or locked up in a mental asylum where you can hurt anyone. Cries one of the lackeys, his huge hands on his chest as if he's been wounded. I'm surprised they even let a psycho run around. I'm not a psychopath. I just have a realistic view of life unlike you all. Death is something not everyone can stop, yet we still try to stop it. Why do they even think I'm a psychopath? I don't get it. None of my actions show the signs of psychopathy. At least, I don't, do I? Behind the tinted glasses, his green gaze sits on his notebook in Bakugo's hands. He doesn't even flinch when he destroys it by using his explosive quirk on it and burning it. Izuku does cringe away when he places his hand on his shoulder, activating his quirk and burning his shoulder. He stays there even after they're gone, even after his notebook had taken a plunge into the fountain, even after he was told to jump off the roof and hope that in the next life he'll be loved and have a quirk. He sighs and looks at his wrist, staring at the 3 chances he has. Hopefully, he never does come close to death. He leaves the school after grabbing the notebook. He'll have to dry it and work on his hero analysis notebook for a while. The air is carrying the small tune that he hums as he passes through a tunnel, a shortcut home. Well, what's this? An invisible cloak. Soon, Izuku is grabbed from behind and slowly is suffocated by the owner of the voice. White-hot pain shoots up his arm when he feels his wrist burns harshly, causing him to try and fight back, forming his hand into a claw to scratch at one of the eyes. He feels a hot, sticky liquid run down his forearm and he's released with a shout of agony from the villain. Taking the chance, he scrambles away from the villain with heavy breathing. A slime, sludge, monster. Unbeknownst to him, his wrist flashes white before one finger slips down and shows 2. Never fear, for I am here. Everything goes dark afterwards. All Might has been chasing the villain for a while now. He releases a string of curses when he notices the villain go for a kid. Just as he was about to attack, he watches as the kid claws at the eyes of the villain and gets thrown to the side as a result. Taking the opportunity, the hero quickly captures the villain and turns toward the plain-looking boy who is now unconscious. Slowly, All Might makes his way over to him and starts softly smacking him to wake him up. While doing this, he takes in the features of the kid. Quite plain-looking. Something about the boy, something is off. Green hair tousled, eyes hidden behind skewed glasses, freckles on his pale, too pale, face. Does he get any sunlight? There's a scar on his lip as if he had gotten cut there a long time ago. A burnt spot on his shoulder. Where did he get that? It's recent, very much concerning. Blood on his hand from where he had clawed out one eye. And on his wrist, there's a red patch of skin and a tattoo. The way it looks, it seems to be a recent tattoo. Hey kid. Hey, wake up. Hey. Eyebrows furrow and soon a small groan passes through his lips. What? Oh, no, he whispers, sitting up and standing up in a rush, almost having knocked over the pro hero. I'm sorry. Thank you for saving me. He looks at the hero and his eyes widen, eyebrows rising a little bit behind the spectacles. He grabs his bag and looks around for his notebook. All my might, thank you. I appreciate your help, and, I have a question, one that won't take too long. Blue eyes stare at the kid, glancing down at the reddened wrist then at the burnt shoulder. His attention is caught by the notebook in the kid's hand. Death analysis. What is this kid doing with something like that? Another question. Never has he met someone that brings up so many questions like this teenager. So who is this kid? He knows he needs to leave, but this kid looks desperate to know something. He doesn't have much time left, but the kid looks honest. One question. Surprise overtakes Izuku's body at the agreement of answering a question from a civilian. Maybe that's just how All Might is. Probably. He isn't going to have high hopes on that. Can I still become a hero without a quirk? Thanks, Death. I've got your stuttering. He won't admit that he always stutters. For as long as he can remember, he's always been told no. He's always a huge fan of heroes, but he's slowly calmed down, pushing past those emotions and trying to be a hero along with figuring out a way to get Death to choose a different champion and leave him alone. He never had too much time to even fanboy over them, too wrapped up with so much things to worry about. He always ignores the ghouls, always makes sure to stay away from them, and is always trying to get things organized. He's always wanted to be a hero, ignoring those doubters like he'd ignore the monsters. He taught himself to fight before getting accepted into taking classes at a taekwondo place. He convinced his mother it was for self-defense, a matter of truth. He always does his best to keep a few people safe, interrupting their suicide attempts and sometimes murder attempts. He finds a way to keep them from walking into traps and always accompanies them if he knows a good excuse to. If he's too late, he calls the police and gives a statement, sometimes lying. If he can't be a hero like All Might, he may have a backup plan for himself. Even with this plan, even with an idea in mind, even with the fact it's happened so many times, he can't help the utter agony that blooms in his chest when All Might speaks. The work of a hero is a dangerous one. I've been hurt many times and I have a quirk, so if that can happen to me, you might not be so lucky. So, no, I don't think you can become hero. Hypocrite. I'm sorry, kid. If you want to help save lives, maybe you should just become a police officer. They may be teased because the villain is usually left on their doorstep, but it's a good profession. A single tear slides down his face and he nods. Izuku Midoriya's dreams are crushed by his favorite hero. Oh, how hilarious. This is just amazing. Life is cruel, crueler than death itself. He bows and thanks him before walking past the symbol of peace. Abruptly, a rancid smell drifts into his nose, and upon glancing to both sides, he finds the source. Midoriya lets out a startled scream. He places a hand over his mouth as he gawks with horror, not having seen anything like this before. His scream must have alerted the pro hero, for he comes up behind him and finds a corpse. It's a few days old from the discolored face, or he would have seen the discoloration if there was any flesh left. The green and purple bruise-like coloring on the body. Mutilation. Burns. The corpse is mangled and mutilated, the throat slashed, which Izuku guessed must have been what finally did the job. It's so obvious how the killer tortured their victim. It's so sickening. Their eyes rise at the same time to see what's on the wall. Words written in a brownish-red liquid, and they're written in English. The teenager isn't fluent enough in the language, but he knows enough to understand. I was born with the devil in me. H.H. Holmes. H.H. Holmes. But he's an American serial killer from centuries ago. Maybe a copycat. Maybe. But no, maybe it's just his thoughts are cut off when he is suddenly grabbed by All Might and turned away from the corpse. It's too late, but it doesn't matter to the hero. Izuku gently pulls away and calls the police as he stares at the wall away from the scene. He has done this a lot, but never days after a murder, always on the same day when the murders occur. I can see why I'm thought as a psycho. The hero doesn't leave, a mistake since his time is up, unaware that Izuku's glancing over his shoulder, looking to the scene where the dead body lies, and is explaining to the operator of the situation. He was staring at Hiro when he notices the transformation. Midoriya gapes for a moment before fully turning towards All Might. He thanks the operator and hanging up. You should get going. Get the villain to the station, it'll be less suspicious. Toshinori stares at him with surprise, unsure on how to take this. The boy barely even blinked at the sudden revelation and seems to be engrossed with the revolting scene before him. That's really concerning, he can't help but think. He's crouched down, eyes skimming over everything while staying a certain distances away as to not tamper with the crime scene. You shouldn't be doing that, Yagi tells him, moving to get him away. You should go. This isn't a place for a teenager to be around. I'm more worried about the villain. You should get him to the station. After all, if he gets loose, then it'll be bad. You don't want that to happen, right? Izuku stares at his favorite hero, indifference in his voice. He just doesn't seem to care about anything. Like he doesn't care that there's a dead body in front of him. You're a hero. You save lives, not the dead. You can't save the dead. So I'll be fine here, nothing will happen. After all, the police is here. Toshinori jumps at the sudden sound of the sirens. He stares at the teenager with eyebrows raised. Just who was this kid? How does he handle all this in a manner that only police and crime investigators handle these situations? He can't wrap his head around this, wondering if the kid might have done this before, and if so, why? It's fine, I'll just hand it into a good friend of mine, he says as the cop car pulls in with an ambulance. A van comes up labeled crime scene investigators, and a few people come out, attending to the scene of the murder. Yagi notices his best friend, Detective Tsukachi, come forth to greet them with a grim smile. Something about his gaze lingering on the green-haired teen gives an off vibe. Almost suspicion. Toshinori wonders if he believes that the boy has anything to do with this. It's nice to see you again, young Midoriya. What have you brought to our attention this time? This time, has the kid really done this before? Dark eyes slide over to Toshinori, his best friend, with a questioning expression before getting closer to the body. He reads the quote and nods, looking over to where Midoriya points to. The frown is prominent as he moves forward, donning on some latex gloves and grabbing what he saw. Eyes are blown wide when he realizes what it is. A portrait painted with the blood of the victim. On the back, Naomasa reads aloud to his co-workers. This world is full of evil, and shall I say this, a part of that evil I am, being nothing in a world full of hope. Take that hope and squash it, shall I, may this be a message. Crimson Artist. I don't know how to even process this, he whispers with wide eyes, his attention never leaving the painting, the bloody painting. "It was nice seeing you again, detective, but I should get going. Do you need to know anything else or am I clear to leave?" Izuku bows slightly upon receiving an answer and thanking him. He leaves the scene of the crime, but not before giving the number 1 hero a glance and a smile over his shoulder with a small wave. His glasses slip down the bridge of his nose, and before he can move it up, he sees a woman with a death shadow hanging off her. He quickly moves and discreetly brushes his hand over the shadow, getting enveloped into the premature death. He sighs, seeing what is going to happen and not be able to stop it. She's sick, just like the woman from a few years back. He pushes up the spectacles and resumes his pace. A car honking reaches his ears and he finds himself moving forward, grabbing the child, who had walked into the road, and running to safety. "Are you okay?" he asks hurriedly, staring at her through the dark lenses. He's so small, barely even 4, and is sobbing in fear. He hums and rocks him, glancing around for the boy's mother, and discovers the skeletal figure of All Might gawking at him with an unreadable expression. He ignores him when he finds the woman sobbing in relief and walking over towards them. She profusely thanks him for saving, and all he can respond with is a series of stuttering and blushing. He explains that he didn't think and just felt his body move on its own. And he's happy that it happened, and he's happy that the boy, Rin, is safe. As Izuku makes his way home, he is stopped by All Might. It's a secluded area and there's no cameras around. Good. All Might fidgets as he stares down at the teen who risked his life to save a child, the same teen who also just so happened to be able to handle finding a corpse with a calm, cool head. He had overheard the conversation with the mother of Rin. He heard and can see the potential in this kid. "You asked me if it's possible to become a hero quirkless, and I can't," Izuku interrupts, blinking at him before settling with inclining his head to the side. He knows this is rude, but he doesn't want to be reminded, because if he's reminded about not being able to be a hero, he's reminded of walking past him and seeing the 2-5-day corpse, then he's reminded of that awful message. A message, and he'll be doing research. H.H. Holmes, Crimson Artist. "I know, so are we done here?" He keeps his tone gentle and low. Shame is in those sunken blue orbs, and Izuku wonders what he said wrong. "No, my boy, I was wanting to tell you that I saw you save that child." The red that spread across his cheeks goes out of the older man's view as he lowers his head, his chin against his chest. "I overheard your conversation with the mother. You moved before you knew what you were thinking?" "Yes." A small nod. "Listen, young Midoriya, many heroes that I've met always have the same thing. Their bodies move before their mind." He falls into a small speech, but the thing that sticks to Izuku is the last few moments. Soon he is being told that he can be a hero. A few tears come out, but he keeps the rest at bay. For so long he's been called a cursed child, a freak, always told that he'll never make it as a hero, and now he can. He accepts the offer and is told to meet at the beach. There, he will start training to become the 9th wielder of One for All. In his room stands Death. Cloak is gone now and is wearing a maroon dress that's in tatters. A scythe strapped to her skeletal back. Pieces of flesh hangs from under her sockets. Strings of white hair frame the decaying skull. Death's female form is one of the worst to ever lay eyes on, showing the decomposed corpse-like body. She holds up 2 bony fingers. 2 chances. Call Death's name. Except when Death arrives. That is all that is said by the time she leaves, taking with her the cold and the stench of rotting flesh. Izuku stares a little longer at the spot where Death once stood and sighs softly. He scratches at his wrist, heading into the bathroom to shower and cleanse away all the bad vibes he's been feeling all day. It didn't help when his mom found out about what had happened. Sukachi had called her and she was worried about him when he came home, having to explain to her that he was fine. "You know how it is. If I don't become a hero, I can always become a crime researcher, Mom." She wasn't all too keen on that idea. Her voice rose with worry and panic at the mere thought of her son being around corpses. "But do you really have to get so wrapped up with these things? You're only 14. You see these ghouls every day. I don't want you to continue seeing corpses for a profession. Can't you, I don't know, pick another, please?" He knows she means well, but it's the best he can ever think of. His being a champion of death might be helpful later in the future. Maybe. He isn't sure. Cursed child. He killed my wife. Maybe not. He might get someone killed. Wait, he can't think like that. He can't, not with the fact that he's going to become a hero. And he stops thinking that way. He puts his efforts on researching more about the American Ripper H.H. Holmes and about his murders. Along with it, he researched American serial killers from centuries prior, thinking of why the Crimson Artist was using one of their quotes. It sickened him reading the terrible evils that many of them did. He reads about the Zodiac Killer, coming up with theories on them, writing it down in another journal for later. He wants to look more into the case of the recent murder, but they have yet to make it public. "This sucks," he mutters as he gets off his bed when he realizes it's 5 in the morning. He has to get to the beach that All Might told him to go. He packs a small backpack with a few of his journals and water with snacks for breaks he might get. He grabs a hand towel and sets off after writing a note to his mom. "Toshinori-san," he shouts upon seeing the skeleton of a man. He waves and smiles widely at him as he comes to a stop, pushing up his sunglasses to keep them from revealing his eyes. I should tell him about my curse, but not right now. Good morning, how have you been? I'm okay, he says, coughing up blood. He stops when Midoriya hands him the towel. A tight smile on the younger male's face, one that he can't think to place. Why does he look like that? Thank you. He makes a small noise upon noticing the sunglasses adorning the pale freckled face. Why are you wearing sunglasses at the break of dawn? Oh, he says, swallowing. I should tell him. Light sensitivity. But not yet. Fortunately, Yagi buys the lie. Training is intense the past 2 months. He has 10 months to work through, and he already feels like he's dying. Izuku sighs as he makes his way towards the Dagaba Municipal Beach Park, thinking about the murdered victim from the day he met All Might. He's lost a bit of his sleep from seeing the corpse in his dreams. The recent murders haven't been out to the public yet, maybe not to raise panic, but he knows that they might release a small statement about being careful being alone and traveling at night. Because of this, Izuku's curiosity got a hold of him. See, he isn't a huge fan of breaking the law, but he asked an international friend hack into the police files and downloaded them onto a USB flash drive and has sent it to him. They made sure that it is unknown. Everything they used to hack is now gone, and they are sure no one knows about the hacking yet. That was last week, and now he has a somewhat up-to-date files of the case. He only does this when he finds the bodies of a serial killer's victims. This is only the 3rd time. He keeps everything to himself, but sends in help to the police office when he notices something they skimmed over. Midoriya is always careful, so he keeps the journal hidden and only takes it out in his room. His mom doesn't know. A good thing, or else she'll have a heart attack at what her son is doing. So far, everything is doing okay, and he's been able to update some of his theories on the Crimson Artist. He just needs his conscience cleared of the corpse that he sees at night. Once the killer is apprehended, he'll be at peace and at knowing no one will end up like that innocent person. Young Midoriya. Jumping at the sudden noise, the said teenager stumbles and looks up at the source of the voice. He smiles widely at seeing Toshinori in his skeletal form, but it fades at seeing Tsukachi. He didn't find out. He can't have found out, so why is he here? He tells himself not to freak out and goes over towards them. Tsukachi, Naomasa here needs to speak with you. Don't panic. Ah, hello, sir, he greets with a small bow. Please, make this quick. I have to get back to training and not dying. Please, make it quick. What brings you here? I know you have files to this case. Shit. I don't want to know how you were able to attain it, and frankly, I'm not going to ask. I do need your opinion on something though. Izuku blinks but nods, ignoring the look of disbelief on Yaga's face upon hearing the statement. First, how are you feeling? Seeing that corpse? Fine, but it's difficult to sleep at times. He rubs his eyes when he says that. Although, it's quite interesting that the killer uses the quotes from various of killers from a long time ago. The portrait is probably a piece of a bigger picture, he murmurs. That's what I wanted your opinion on. Every body the police finds, it makes no sense. We've been thinking it may be a puzzle that the killer has made and wants us to solve. If so, why go to so much trouble? He snorts and pushes his hair back, sighing as he says, never try to understand the mind of killer, you'll drive yourself insane. The 2 others stare at him, a silence falling onto them. Sometimes it's a good thing to think like a killer, pipes up Midoriya, drawing looks of confusion from the 2 adults. Seeing this, the teenager presses on, his fingers twitching in nervousness. Think about this. If you think like a writer, you may have an initial clue as to why they made such a piece. Stare long enough at the poem of a poet, reviewing different literary elements and putting yourself in their place. You may get an initial clue as to what was going through the poet's mind during the making of their poem. He presses his thumb onto his bottom lip, biting the side of the nail. What I'm trying to say is to catch a killer, you'll have to think like a killer, preferably one with an artistic view of death. And you may understand why the Crimson Artist is leaving portraits, maybe come up with a mental image of the big picture. They have artistic abilities, so they might be taking inspiration from old artists. He blinks once again, looking up at them and fixing his spectacles. That's my thought process on the matter anyways, if it makes sense. I'm not well at verbally expressing my thoughts. They gape at the kid, who nods and gets to work on training. As they're left alone again, they exchange facial expressions. That's one heck of a kid. I still need to tell him not to hack into police files since that's against the law. I don't know how he even hacked it since he doesn't seem to be the type to know how to hack them. Toshinori watches the teenager train, humming a tune under his breath as he works. The kid seems honest as hell, so he probably is right at the fact that he doesn't seem to be the type to hack or even break the law. He's smart and seeming to be a good analyst, so that'll be a good skill to work on once he gets into UA. Maybe he can get Nedzu to help work on it. Do you think he may have had some help? Maybe. It's likely that he did. Ask him for me. I'm sure he won't lie to you. I should get to the office and relay the message. Hopefully, we can stop the killer before the picture is complete. It's good seeing you again, Toshinori. I have a feeling we'll be seeing each other more than usual this year. Naomasa shakes hands with the pro hero and waves farewell to Izuku, who's picking up metal and putting it in a truck. That kid will be going places. We'll see things not many people see in their lifetime, he mutters as he gets into his car. The days turn into weeks, which turn into months. With all this time, Izuku is working harder than ever before. He makes changes to the schedule set by All Might, and he knows he shouldn't have, but he did. He has to work harder or else he will be too far behind the other students. If he doesn't work hard, then why is he working at all? He has to put in his all, pushing past his limits, pushing past his aching muscles, taking taekwondo, training, researching, study. Izuku found them to be a good way to keep his mind off the corpses that hang at the edge of his vision, to keep his mind off of the piling corpses from the murders. All the while, he goes around the city in boredom and finding people that he can help if he's told to not train on a certain day by his mom. He eats better than before, trying to keep his health up, but is unknowingly letting it drop by the overexertion that he's putting on himself. During this time, Katsuki Bakugo seems to have made it his goal to make Izuku's life a living hell before he goes off to become the #1 hero and leaves this rundown school, to which holds extras, and he's the protagonist. His bullying is getting worse, and of course, the teachers do nothing. Midoriya doesn't expect anything, for he's lost all trust in teachers, and because of that, he has trouble trusting adults in general. The only few he does trust is Toshinori, Tsukachi, and his mom. Most adults never done much for him. Some of the adults that knew of the bullying did nothing and make up excuses for Bakugo. He tries his best not to be a victim, but it's difficult, especially when no matter how much confidence he can gather up, Katsuki finds a way to rip it down. That was before he just started ignoring Bakugo entirely. He remembers a time when he would let himself get hurt by the bullies of the school. Now, he just ignores them. He rolls his eyes at their idiotic comments, their idiotic insults, basically their ignorance and idiots. They believe him to be a psychopath. Fine, let them. He stopped trying to say anything different. So what if he's a freak? It's better than being normal anyway. He ignores them, blasting old Western rock music, sometimes old Japanese rock like Cloud and Dachira. That's basically what his music player is full of. Old anime openings, some of them newer, J-rock, and mostly old Western rock. He's surprised that he hasn't messed up his hearing because of that. Mostly ignoring them doesn't always work. And if they try to lay a finger on him, he pushes it off and quickly makes his way out of the place, sometimes scurrying to a more public place that if anyone is to recognize them, their future reputation as a hero will plummet. His life is okay now, but the slight trauma is still there. Either way, he isn't letting anyone lay hand on him. He's through with being a victim, and he will prove it once he gets into UA. If anyone were to ask, Izuku Midoriya is not breaking into an apartment. Izuku Midoriya does not know how to pick a lock. Of course, that's what it looks like, but that's not it. Nope, he has no clue what people are talking about if they're to ask. But who would ever ask? The idiot basically lost his key and now has to break in. It's not really a break-in if it's his home, is it? No, because he lives there. He'll have to tell his mom about the lost key and get a new one made. He sighs, making his way over to the kitchen. He grabs a small snack and immediately heads for his room, throwing his backpack down onto the bed. He's almost there. So close. Will this be enough? It should be. He's so tired. It won't kill him to sleep for a while. After all, he's worked so hard now. Resting will do him good anyways. He's had a stressful few months. It's been 10 months since the second corpse has been found. 10 months since the whole investigation started. After the first 5 months, 10 people were reported missing and were found killed. 3 months ago, they released a statement on the murders and another 6 people were reported missing and killed. 2 months ago, the trail went cold. 2 months ago, no more murders have happened. It was as if the killer went into hiding for a while. Because of this, Izuku had asked them to search for unsolved cases that dealt with the same thing, no leads. The case went cold and everything returned to somewhat normal. The day was long, and with Tsukachi's visit, it put him on edge. The case went cold. The trail stopped and no one has been reported missing, and we haven't found any recent murders fitting the profile. Dark eyes hold an emotion, maybe more, and it's difficult to read. He stares at the lapping waves, his lips set to a firm line. We have no reason to believe that the unsub just stopped for no reason. They might have almost gotten caught. What with the news releasing the murders and the patrols, I'm guessing they're laying low for now. Oh, so that is a problem. Great. Midoriya sighed and ran a hand through his hair. Has there been any other cases like this one, where they'll kill for a while and then just stop after a moment? There's no reason to believe that they won't do this again. Some murderers have a need to kill. This one just likes torturing people. They love the thrill they get for hurting them. This is a type where they need to hurt someone just because. It won't last long. Once the news stops covering the murder, a killing frenzy will ensue, don't you think? Tsukachi hums as he glances at the teen with a smile. He can see where Toshinori likes him. Yes, he might have done well with choosing him. You'd make a fine detective. You know, you can be a crime investigator and a hero at the same time. You should take criminology classes during summer breaks. Maybe do some online courses during the school year, but it'll probably be better to do the classes during the summer. It'll be nice to have someone as smart as you to be on our team. Are you sure that's possible? Me taking college courses? Won't it be costly? I'll handle that. Just speak to your mom about it and I can help you with the rest. Just don't let it interfere with training. A smile comes across his face. Thank you, but I don't want you to spend money on me for classes. I'll find a way to pay for them. Toshinori is staring at the boy who is screaming at the top of his lungs from pent-up emotions. He isn't sure what type of emotions. For all he knows, it's probably a mixture of them. He sees him sway and stumble in at the top and quickly moves to catch him when he falls. The kid is still wearing sunglasses. Seriously, has he really not taken them off, even once? He understands that he has light sensitivity, but he's sure that they would have fallen off by now. He doesn't ask and just gives him a speech. You can now receive my power. He looks down at the blinding smile that he's grown so used to that he'll never want to see it disappear. He holds out the hair for him and sees the smile fade into confusion. Eat this. What? His voice squeaks. It squeaked. Yagi wants to laugh but he doesn't, explaining why he needs to in the first place. Wait. That's all he gets out by the time he's forcing Izuku to take the hair. Once everything is settled down, All Might gives him a piece of advice. Unaware to them, Death is watching the two of them. The Reaper is amused at seeing her champion and his predecessor acting like a bunch of dorks. She knows of his want to be a hero. She knows where he's going and she needs to speak with him, needs to give him something. Something other than the first gift. Maybe this time he won't have much fear for this new gift. Maybe Izuku will. Like this, Death makes her way towards the boy and grabs his arm, pulling him into the next alleyway. She removes the glasses and presses the gift to him. Use it. Can. Hide it. Call for it. Izuku stares at her with uncertainty. He looks at the gift and notices it to be a sigh. I can't. I don't know how to use it. He takes a step back when she moves forward, but doesn't move any more than that. She places a skeletal finger on his forehead, forcing himself to ignore the stench radiating off her. His eyelids flutter close and something flashes across his vision. He shudders when the smell gets too much, when the images overwhelm him. Soon the scythe is gone and he's left alone. She needs to stop doing things like this, he whispers, rushing out and heading to the train to get to the academy. But it can be useful, his mind argues. One can't rely on their quirk for long, you can't anyway. You barely even know how to use something that isn't even yours. This is not yours and you have yet to use it. Shut up. I'm right. You know that. You can't face reality yet, but soon you will. You're the champion of death, not the savior of lives. You see monsters. You see when someone will die but can't save them. You see death itself. You're a freak, one who shouldn't be alive. Your eyes are cursed and you can't get rid of them. You've already tried. He ignores that, having already made it to the platform. He quickly heads to the academy, ready to start his hero life. That comes crashing down when he trips. Or I can just die, he thinks, but he never hits the ground since he feels somewhat weightless. We wouldn't want you tripping. That'll be a sign of bad luck. Standing there is a brunette with rosy cheeks. She's smiling at him as she releases him from her quirk. Sorry about using my quirk on you. Oh, it's fine, he says quickly with a nervous smile. She nods and walks away with a bright farewell. I actually spoke to someone, and they were nice to me. He stops at the thought. Okay, I may have problems if I think like that. Death won't interfere. No, free chance. They stand in front of a giant gate. Present Mike's explanation was extremely awkward. Being called out was even more so. He really needed to get a hold of his thoughts and muttering to keep that from happening again. Apparently, they will be fighting robots and he'll probably use the gift that Death gave him just so she won't appear like that again and give him a harder time than before. As he's scanning the others and analyzing them from their forms and their warm-ups, he notices the girl from earlier. He realizes that he hadn't even thanked her for helping him earlier. He was about to go up to her when he was cut off by the same guy who had called him out earlier. She is obviously nervous and trying to concentrate. Are you trying to distract her? What? He takes a step back at the sudden accusation. He doesn't even know me and is already assuming I'm trying to ruin other people's chances. Izuku shifts on his feet and ignores the others' gazes that have taken an interest to the two. No, He gets cut off by the other examiners who whisper amongst themselves. They're muttering about how he doesn't have a chance, nor do they have to worry about him being a potential rival. For the first time, he feels angry but he figures this may be a good thing. They are underestimating him. That in itself is so much better. He sighs and looks somewhat dejected, upholding the facade of being too weak. Don't lie, but manipulate. Simple enough. Like always, he's left alone before he can do or say anything but this time. His fingers are twitching with the want to summon his sai. Just this once, I will use your gifts. He takes off his glasses and scans the group. Oh no. He puts them back on and he'll have to keep an eye out on her. The gates open and Present Mike announces them to go. Midoriya acts fast, summoning his weapon once he runs through the gates and ignoring the murmurs some of the examinees about his fingers curled around the obsidian handle of a weapon that seems unhero-like. He slashes at 2 robots, bringing up the memories that death had shown him earlier, unaware of the aura of cold death hanging around him. He gets a few more robots in, but others start taking them away. He needs to get more points. He has to. He can't fail All Might. Not after all he's helped him with. His eyes scan for the girl. He can't find her. This revelation chills him to the bone. He can't find her. Where is she? The ground shakes. A shadow rises and looms over them. Soon, people are running away from the source of the ginormous shadow. He stumbles back, letting his scythe disappear, and beholds the robot, the 0P they're supposed to avoid. As he starts to run, he hears a cry of pain and worry. Whipping around, there, the girl from before, the one with the death shadow hanging off her, the kind girl who he met at the entrance of the school, the one who kept him from tripping. She's hurt. No, she wants to be saved. I can see it. She wants to be saved. I can save her. Izuku abruptly charges forward, going to help her. He tries moving the debris off her foot, but the robot is nearing them. He charges up one for all and jumps up high. He can feel his legs break, but he ignores them and punches the robot with a yell. He's still in the air for a good second before he starts falling. Shit, he's going to lose a chance. He can't lose a chance. He needs to stop with life and death situations. Falling. Panicking. Think. Quickly, he summons his scythe and plunges it into the side of the building closest to him, gripping tightly to the handle as he watches the machine fall back. He had managed to slow his descent, but with his momentum of free fall, the scythe rips at the stone of the building before he can grab onto a windowsill with his hurt arm. It's agony, but it helps. He sits there for a moment, glad that it's big enough for him, and catches his breath. He looks to his wrist. The mark has yet to show up. 1 minute left. Great. I don't have enough points, he mutters as he receives help from the girl. She used her quirk on a piece of debris and floated her way up, then down for them. She throws up off to the side from the usage. Midoriya smiles tightly and holds her hair back while she does. Are you okay? He inquires gently, rubbing her back after she finished. He receives a small nod in response. Good, thank you. The exam is over and the hero, recovery girl, comes and helps them. Kiss. Soon after, Midoriya, passing out from the lack of adrenaline, brings a small cry of surprise from the brunette. Will he be okay? She questions. Don't worry, he will be. Breaking out of his thoughts, he remembers where he is. His mom's worried face is all he can see as she asks him if he's okay since he's staring at the fish he's eating. Giving her a forced smile, he answers, yes, I'm fine. Sorry, I just spaced out a bit. Izuku, she says, looking at him with a more composed look. When you get into UA, what will you do about your glasses? Surely one of them will know you're lying. He sighs, dropping his facade and taking them off. He loved seeing his mom without the tint of brown around her. He looks around out of habit and sees at least 3 ghouls, causing him to blink and to turn his attention back to his mom. I'm not sure. I understand that we live in a society where having powers are normal, but will anyone ever believe that I can see death itself? See when one will die and not be able to save them unless they show that they do want to be saved? Will they believe me when I tell them about seeing ghouls? Or that I'm the champion of death? The most that they will believe is that my eyes are cursed and I can't do anything about them. So no, there's no point in telling. I'll figure something out. I don't know, just continue acting like the way I do. Inko looks at her son with sadness in her eyes. Her baby boy can never seem to catch a break. He works too hard and it seems that fate just likes to mess with him. For every time something good happens, something has to happen to him, and it doesn't matter what. Maybe UA will be a good thing, and maybe this time he'll make friends. Hopefully, he tells someone about his curse, as he likes to call it. She believes it can be helpful, but then again, what does she know? She hasn't experienced it herself. It's okay, Izuku. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. So death gave you another gift. He doesn't seem to notice, but his eyes shine brighter with that sentence. It's hard to know if he actually likes it or is just pretending to. Yeah, it's a scythe. Very durable. Apparently it's a metal from the underworld itself. I know how to use it due to death showing me memories of scythe fights and its skill and technique. I kind of want to thank them. I mean, without it, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have gotten even a point. You should thank them. I know you don't like to speak with death, but they've helped you more than we might know. Inko does get a response, for the phone rings and she brings it towards her, answering, hello. Upon hearing the request to speak with her son, she sighs and agrees. It's Detective Tsukanchi. Izuku is surprised since this only happened once, and that was before he ended up getting arrested and accused of committing a murder. He takes the phone apprehensively, tapping his fingers on the table, and answers with a timid, hello. He listens to him speak, rubbing his wrist with worry and nervousness. I know I should stop calling you to help, especially with the fact that you're only a teenager and have no business here, but many of the officers here have decided to use your help. It may be a cold case now, but we received a letter. They're going to start again, but we're not sure when. It can be months until it happens. We need to make a new profile. He blinks, then looks at his half-eaten food. What's the old profile again? The murderer is targeting both females and males, torturing them, then once they're dead, they dump the body. So we happen to believe that they know their way around every part in the city. We have no leads, suggesting the person is smart enough not to leave clues other than the messages and painting. There are no fingerprints or even any type of DNA other than the victims. Unsub is identified to be between 25 and 30. Okay, so that'll be a problem. I mean, finding leads is crucial, but the way they can take them is something of a mystery. I mean, they may take the victims at night or even if they're alone during the day. They'll figure out how to lure them to help them and they'll strike. I have no idea how they're able to do this if a person has a quirk. So if the killer has a quirk, it'll most likely be either a mind or a blood-related quirk, maybe even a stealth quirk. He hums. Or they make themselves look weak and friendly. That'll be a good reason to have men and women help. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Just be on guard. We will not be releasing any more statements just yet, so say nothing about this to anyone but your mother. We do not need a mass panic about the Crimson Artist being back. We will be doing patrols. I'll send a picture of the note. Oh, and tell your mom to be careful. She has a trouble magnet for a son. Wait, he says, biting his lip. The unsub uses quotes from international serial killers from years ago. They might be taking points from them. I know that H.H. Holmes was famous for his murder castle. The Zodiac Killer was famous for being kept under the radar and with the clues they left. I have a feeling that the Crimson Artist might replicating numerous of serial killers to keep themselves to throw you guys off on their true motive. Have you all looked through the victims' profiles to see what you can link? What you think might be them enjoying their victim's pain? Of course, there can be more to it. You're right. We will have to look more into it and try to prevent any more deaths. Of course, have good day. He hangs up and relays the message, earning a laugh from her at the statement of him being a magnet to trouble, and she knows that that is completely true. That same night, the teen sits on his bed watching Death look through his room. He never realized just how childish the Spectre is, how curious she is. Death, don't. He cries, but it falls on deaf ears when she knocks over the figurine. Death, please be careful. He doesn't trust Death. He can't trust her. Yet here she is acting like a child with her curiosity. How is it that a being as old as time itself be curious about what's in his room? He can't help but relax for the first time in her presence. This time, there is no stench of death, but the cold aura is there. So where are we? Izuku needs something called death. The rotten flesh-covered skull is tilted to the side with apparent confusion. He understands the feeling. He has never called her before. Usually she calls him or randomly appears. Why? I want to thank you for the scythe. It's a nice gift. Thank you. If she had eyelids, she would have blinked. He liked it. He liked the gift. He wasn't scared. Eyes. Gift. Like. Izuku lifts a hand to his eyes. I don't know. Terrifying to see these ghouls. Corpse ghouls. Corpses of the dead. Human ghouls. Want to see. Corpses. I've been seeing corpses. He blinks and turns to look at the corpse ghoul. But I can see human ghouls if I say yes. Death, help. Not a C-sept gift. Another time, for that. A C-sept help. No fear. I accept to see them. Good. Death smiles with whatever skin left she has and presses her bony fingers to his closed eyes. Oh, pen. More ghouls are now in his room. 3 more ghouls, but they look more alive than the sickening corpses. I still can't speak to them, can I? They'll hurt me, won't they? Not sure. Be careful. Trust none of them. That's all. She's gone. Izuku is alone with 2 types of ghouls now. Great, but it's not bad. Now he won't be alone with corpses around him. That's what he believes anyway. 1A, he repeatedly mutters as he walks into the school. He was happy to know that he passed the exam. He is happy that he can go to such an amazing school. He comes to a stop when he finds the classroom. Taking a deep breath, he knows that this will be the start of a new life. This will be a place where he can make friends and get away from the horrors of his childhood. He adjusts the sunglasses and steps into the classroom. He finds the glasses guy, the one who had called him out during the exam and during Mike's debriefing, arguing with him. Bakugo is here. He should have known, and he had dared to hope that they wouldn't be in the same class. Life does hate him. He should have known that life hates him. Oh, well, the feeling is mutual. Apparently Bakugo is being a dipstick and will not get his feet off the desk, disrespecting the people who made it in school property, and oh, the horror. The guy is apparently from a respectful family for the way he's acting. Strict. He sighs and says, look, it seems that we got off on the wrong foot. My name is Idatenya. Then he tells him from where he went to school. Not the right move to make. That explains the whole attitude. He grew up with strict rules enforced, unlike Bakugo who always got away with everything. Oh, you're an elite. Seems like another fucking reason to end you. Threatening. His response fades as Midoriya sighs and glances off to the side. He moves to go sit down, but is stopped by Idatenya. Hello, I'm Idatenya from Same. Oh, yeah, I overheard. I'm Midoriya. It's nice to meet you, Ida. They speak for a bit. Ida asking about the scythe and congratulating him for knowing something more about what the test was actually about. Midoriya tries to deny it, but it falls onto deaf ears. Hey, it's the curly-haired kid. I know that voice. Glad to find you. Present Mike was right, you did make it in. She's so loud, everyone is staring at us. I never got to ask, why are you wearing sunglasses? I've seen you have them on all the time. Oh, my eyes are. If you're here to make friends, then I suggest you leave. They turn to find a man in a sleeping looking like a caterpillar. Izuku coughs and looks away, quickly heading to a desk, sadly behind Katsuki. He keeps his head down, staring at the worn-down teacher. He's a pro hero. Just who? He can't think of the hero name. This never happened before. I usually am able to recognize a pro hero. Wait, must be an underground hero then. I am your homeroom teacher, Aizawa Shota. Put these on and meet outside on the PE grounds. Standing outside, sun in his face. He's glad he wears sunglasses. Everyone else is shading their eyes to see the teacher in front of them. The teacher who looks so done with life. Bro, me too. We will be doing a quirk apprehension test. He explains the reason of why they're not going to the ceremony. What they will be doing. His eyes scan the crowd before he throws the ball at Bakugo. Bakugo, what was your throw in middle school? 67 meters. Bakugo steps up, and when he's told to use his quirk this time, he grins and preps to throw it. Die, he shouts when he releases it with an explosion to propel it. The beep of the machine sounds and Aizawa-sensei shows the results. 705.2 meters. A girl yells out saying it looks to be fun, earning a glare from the teacher. Oh, it looks fun, you say. If you're only here to have a grand all-time for the next 3 years. What happened to being heroes? When no one says anything, he continues. Fine then. New rule, whoever places last will be judged as hopeless and will be expelled. What? I can't do that. After all of the training and hard work I've done, I'm going to be expelled. I know it'll be me. All these other people have had their quirks for so long. I've just received one for all and I can't do anything other than that. There's my eyes, yes, but what am I going to do there? Midoriya takes a deep breath and goes through the motions. Many of his skills can't be used in many of the events. He did okay, but he's still behind everyone. He knows he's going to be expelled, but he pushes through. Everything is fine, but the air shifts from warm to cold. A stench of death permeates the air. This chills many people, causing them to grow worried and wary on the feeling of hopelessness. Aizawa-sensei frowns and looks around before his eyes land on Midoriya, who seems to be unfazed. Some of his students are shuddering, hand pressed against their faces at the reeking stench. He watches the subtle turn of his head turn to the left, lowering his spectacles. No one seems to notice this, no one but him. He can see the boy's lips moving slightly. The air changes and it's back to normal. What the hell was that? He'll have to keep an eye on the boy. Didn't he use a scythe as his weapon during the exam? That may be nothing. A few people use weapons. But who uses a scythe? Midoriya, you're up. In the infirmary, Izuku is speaking with Recovery Girl. After the exam, he had to be taken for breaking his finger. As he expected, he came in last, but fortunately, it was all a logical ruse that Aizawa-sensei came up with. Although, he found out that he is the underground hero, Eraserhead. The softball throw was one of the most nerve-wracking moments in his life, mostly because prior to his turn, Death just had to show up. He had to tell him something, but he told him that he'd speak to him later, after school, when no one else is around. T-share wa T-ching. Then he left. He got far in the throw, but it wasn't enough and he ranked last. Deku, what the hell was that, you psycho? Bakugo is mad and he's going to show that good-for-nothing idiot. Suddenly, he's stopped in his tracks by white bindings. Izuku owes one to Aizawa-sensei for helping him. If anything, he's just glad that he stopped him from damaging anything. Maybe the teachers here are better than at his middle school, but still he wasn't entirely sure. Recovery Girl cuts his thought process off when she finishes scolding the green-haired teen about being more careful before she heals him. Once she does, he deflates a bit with his shoulders slumping down. Somehow, his energy is gone after she healed him. Why do I feel so tired? He questions, looking at her through the tinted glasses. It's part of my quirk. I use your stamina to speed up your healing process. She gives him a smile and pats his hand. Her gaze is caught by the spectacles on the boy's face. That's odd. Why is he wearing them inside? This is the second time she's seen him wear them. Apparently from Toshinori, he is always seen wearing them. My boy, why do you wear those sunglasses? I've seen you wear them all the time, and don't lie to me, young man. You can't lie to me. I know a liar when I see one. She watches him mumble under his breath and gives a small whack to his knee. Speak up. Hesitation. Should I tell her? I know I have to tell someone, but what would she do? Maybe she can help. She seems to be the type to help. I can trust her. After all, she's helped me already. My eyes, they're cursed. He looks up, seeing her frown. He knows he can't go back on this now. I keep these on to not see something that'll cause me to freak out, he finishes. He stares at the ground, figuring that he must sound crazy. What did he expect? He can see when someone's going to die. He can see these ghoulish creatures that seem ready to tear him apart, ready to drag him into the darkness that hangs in every corner. Death may have given him the sight to see human ghouls, but the corpse ghouls, those are horrific, and he would rather go blind. I should go. Wait for a moment. I can help you if you wish. Recovery girl stands, waiting for him to answer. She moves towards him, moving so he can bend down. I will give them back to you if it gets bad. Okay. He hesitates for a bit before getting down on both knees, letting her remove his sunglasses and revealing shining green eyes. They're really beautiful. It's a shame he hides them. She watches as they sweep across the room, and, for a moment, she can see the slight relief. He believes that he is safe here. That is until his vision rests on his peripheral vision. A misty form is behind him. He can see the black and purple of it sitting and waiting for him to turn. Eyes widening, he slowly turns towards the black mass he saw. The ghoulish monster stands over him, gray skin peeling as its bloodshot, gold eyes are on him. It's so close. This is the closest the corpses have ever been to him. It looks like a male with a severe anorexia disorder. The bones of its ribs, hips, and collarbone all jut out in sickening ways. The sunken stomach is shredded. The smell of rancid, disease-riddled flesh fills his nose. He gags, for he's never had this happen before. Never had his other senses be affected so much so that he'll gag. He's dealt with death itself, and if this is worse than death, well, it chills him to the bone. His breathing hitches, opening his mouth to scream. Before he can get any noise out, he blinks and it's gone. There's nothing there now. He stares for a little longer before his eyes are blocked by Recovery Girl's aged hands. The smell is gone, and the aura it held is nowhere for him to feel. He lets everything fade away to the background as he focuses on the nurse and her only. Izuku, it's okay. There's nothing there. Keep your eyes closed and I'll put your glasses back on, okay? He doesn't trust himself to answer, settling on nodding. He closes his eyes and waits until the cool plastic of his sunglasses are back on. His breathing is wrong. He is not sure why he's freaking out so bad. Maybe it's because of how close it was to him. It was so close. It could have touched him. Could have taken him away. Thank you. I'm sorry that I apologize for freaking out. Don't apologize. You have something that no one should have. Let's get you on your way. But I want you to tell me more about it tomorrow, during lunch. I want to help you, and talking will help. A small smile is on her face. She needs him to tell her, but she will not tell anyone. Not unless it's terrible. I won't tell anyone. That is your choice alone. Thank you. I only want you to know at the moment. My mom is the only other person that knows. I'll explain the best I can, but I should get going now. I feel like I made a good decision, he thinks as he makes way to the front gate. The school day ended and he just feels bone tired. He's dragging himself, slightly slumped over as he tries not to fall asleep. He has to get home, do some research and see when he can sign up for online classes for the summer, and then go to the beach. Albeit the fact that he didn't want Tsukachi to pay for the classes, he was going to anyway. Oh well, Midoriya, is your finger healed? He straightens up at the sound of his name, blinking when he sees Ida looking at him. He gives a small nervous smile and nods. Yeah, Recovery Girl helped. Hey Ida, Deku. That causes him to freeze and look for the source. He sees Uraraka waving and smiling at them. The Deku. Izuku stutters out in response when he heard the name. He doesn't want to have a repeat of middle school, so he's hoping she must have misheard. Yeah, that's what the blonde, Bakugo, called you. That's your name, right? Her head is tilted to the side, a frown on her face. He blinks for a second. Oh, so she thought it's my name. Oh, no. My name's Midoriya Izuku. Deku, well, it means useless. Oh, I'm sorry. So it's an insult. Yeah. He turns his head away as he scratches his cheek with his index finger. He looks up when she says something about it. Says that it sounds like you can do it, and so he tells her that she can call him that. His phone rings and he looks at the message. Upon reading it, he hums. He taps his nails on the back of his phone. He sends a message thanking Tsukachi. We should get going. Yes, you're right. Ida fixes his glasses and follows the two out. So what is your quirk? You were able to summon a scythe and yet have strength and speed. That doesn't connect well. Oh, it's a mixture of strength and speed. Don't have a name for it. The scythe was given to me by a family relative. He smiles slightly, hoping for them to buy the lie. One for me. They actually believe the lie. They continue walking and talking just random bits of their lives until they have to split ways, leaving Izuku as if he's walking on air. He feels happy for the first time in a while that doesn't have to do with his mom or All Might. He is happy to have made friends. He can't wait to relay what happened to his mom, who he knows will be happy that her son is making friends and doing well. The message that he received from Tsukachi is not something he needs to worry about. The case went cold, so there isn't anything he can do but wait for something to happen. The teen sighs and takes his glasses off, staring at a male human ghoul is grinning at him. The next thing he knows, one of his journals are thrown across the room. What the hell? He cries out when another journal hits him square in the chest. Oh, I just want to have fun. Maybe we can do something together. Midoriya stares at him, blinking before moving out of the way from getting hit by a book. This is just not his day, is it? He ducks once again and tells the ghoul to leave him alone, soon regretting that decision. He feels fingers wrap around his ankle and soon he is being dragged into the corner where the shadows hang. He screams slightly and tells him to let him go, which he unwillingly does. He starts cursing, kicking things out of his way as he glares at the human who death chose to be their champion. I hate that. You ruin all of my fun. Izuku just ignores the ghoul and lay on the bed, pulling over his blankets as a way to not see it and so that he can fall asleep easier. Your life will only get worse. I swear it will. That threat hangs in the air and it's the last thing he hears before he falls into the dark waters of sleep, drowning prior to the dreams that come afterwards. The dream is weird. He never understands why he has these dreams. Blurry screams, and the different smells of various substances. He can't see anything yet there are people in front of him. Then come the screams. Who's screaming? Why are the screaming? What is going on? Where is he? He gags when he catches whiff of a strong odorous substance. It's like gasoline but not. Kerosene. He never smelled kerosene so he isn't sure. Who's talking? What are they saying? The voice is static, garbled. It sounds like when one is listening to music before they pass under a tunnel and the reception is lost. Izuku, your alarm is going off. What the hell? What was that? He asks himself as he turns off the alarm and gets up, replaying the images he saw. He'll have to figure it out later since he needs to think about more important things. School especially. Wonder what we'll be doing today. I am here, walking through the door like a normal person. Damn, he's annoying. Ignore him. Don't speak to him. I mean, if anything, can't he act normal? It's irritating when people yell. It's irritating when you speak, but I don't say anything. Young Midoriya, is something wrong? You're scowling. Midoriya blinks and pushes up his glasses and nods. I'm fine. Sorry, he says, looking away from the gazes of his classmates with a small blush on his cheeks. Maybe if I'm allowed to. Can I just gouge out my eyes and maybe I'll be happy, he whispers under his breath, hoping no one heard him as he glares at the ghoul over the rim of his glasses. He hates the ghoul, who he wants to be called Beetle. He's been annoying him for the past morning and this happens. Is he trying to get him in trouble? This is annoying. He just needs to keep a cool head and ignore the guy. He won't be thought as insane. Of course, as I was saying, get your hero costumes on and meet outside. Izuku is the last one to come out. His suit is a dark green jumpsuit that covers his arms and legs with 2 white stripes going down the sides. He's wearing black combat boots with red laces and wears blood-red gloves that have black pads on the palms and fingertips. Claw-like metal is protruding out like the fingernails. He wears a hood with a mask that covers his face. It is the face of a skull. His eyes are hidden behind a dark mesh covering to somewhat block his vision from the ghouls. There is a place where he can put his side, an obsidian handle with a curved, underworld silver metal blade. Uraraka comes over and gives him a smile. She's wearing a tight bodysuit. Wow, that's so cool. You look creepy though, almost as if you're the Grim Reaper or something. She looks down and rubs her nape. I probably should have specified with mine, it's a little tight. Izuku laughs softly, giving her a reassuring smile, and turns towards All Might, who had gotten their attention and is now speaking about how they will be splitting up into teams of 2. A hero versus villain combat practice. The villains will be holding a weapon. The heroes will have to infiltrate the hideout and either capture the villains or the weapon. So, I'm going to draw names. He announces. Heroes: Bakugo Katsuki, Ida Tenya. Villains: Uraraka Ochako, Midoriya Izuku. Midoriya hums with a small smile on his face that can't be seen. He turns to Uraraka, who is wringing her hands with nervousness. I have a plan, he says, rubbing his hands together. Sorry in advance if I scare you. Why? What are you going to do? He shrugs and just continues to hum. Once they get inside the building, he explains the plan. It doesn't matter on whatever team Midoriya will be on. If he and Bakugo are on opposite sides, then they will fight each other no matter what, so he takes it upon himself to come up with a plan where he draws Katsuki away. Uraraka moves the weapon in a place where no one will think for it to be, on the floor above where Uraraka will be on. This will give them enough time for them to win. Ada will surely take this seriously, but with Bakugo on his team, it'll be mostly Ada doing all the work while Bakugo is too busy trying to kill Midoriya to even attempt at passing the test. This is an advantage on the villain's part. They're ready. Now, it's all on Izuku to draw them away from Uraraka and the weapon. Oh, how the class will have such a beautiful show. Come and get us. I apologize for the way you all will see me act, but for now, are you ready to go against me, Kaken? Ada is annoyed. Simple as that. Being partnered up with one of the most hard-headed people in class is not the best thing because no matter how many times he tries to reason with Bakugo, the explosive and angry child doesn't want to listen. It's like he doesn't really care about this assignment because he's too busy with his own thoughts that he knows won't lead to anything good. His red eyes are on the building, a scowl etched onto his face. Whatever he's thinking, the spectacled kid can tell it has to do with Midoriya. What the hell was that, you psycho? Why does he call him a psycho? Midoriya doesn't seem to be a psychopath. Yet Bakugo has been calling him one since the start of the school year, well, yesterday. And go. They enter into the building upon the call. The scene they find is very unexpected. The hallways are dimly lit. A few lights are out of the sockets and are left swinging. The chill in the air bites at their bare skin. How did they even manage to get it like that? Ada is not sure. He notices the scratches along the walls and on the floor. It looks like a scene straight out of a horror movie. They suddenly come to a halt when the echo of insane laughter rips through the silence. It's apparent that Bakugo is getting pissed off with the situation. Small explosions come from his clenched hands. He scowls and glances at Ada, snapping for him to stay out of his way. If that shitty nerd appears, I'm going to kill him. Before they can continue any further, they stop dead in their tracks once again when creepy humming cuts through the air, chilling their bones at the sound. Immediately, the area grows colder and holds an aura of death which has them releasing a small shudder. The feeling that death has come for them puzzles them. They're going to die. Why does it feel like that? It can't be right. Surely, Eda is misreading something and his imagination is running freely. This is only a training exercise, he reasons with himself, yet why does it even feel like this? They creep forward a little more when a song starts being sung. As Izuku's voice bounces off the walls, the sound of metal on metal reaches their ears as if someone is dragging a blade across it. Ring around the rosy. What the fuck is that? Shouts the violent hero wannabe. He searches his surroundings, looking around for the source, looking for that fucking psycho who thinks he's so much better than him. Once he gets his hands on him, he's going to show him. The humming continues. Where is that sound coming from? The evil thing, it knows me. Come out. A small explosion before Ada hushes him and tries to reason with him. That doesn't go so well. Where the fuck are you? Huh? You think you can scares us, you little shit. You're fucking dead wrong. Ashes, ashes, I can't fall down. Izuku abruptly appears and knocks Ada off his feet with the butt of his sai. His hood is knocked back and his mask is on his head to reveal a sinister smile is pulled across his face and his eyes. His wide, green eyes show bloodlust. My Midoriya, whispers Ada as he stares up at the boy. The shock of seeing such a happy-and-go-lucky teen be so insane is worrisome. This has to be an act. The boy he knows from yesterday is not there. He is nowhere there. This is a villain. No friends. A training exercise. One that he isn't sure about anymore. Not when staring at the curly-haired teen. What's wrong? He asks, his voice full of fake innocence. His head is tilted as the scythe in his hand is angled a certain way. The tip is pointed towards Izuku's back, but the edge of the blade is near Ada's throat. He genuinely looks surprised to see them there, but Ada knows better. Why does he hold an aura of death? Why does this feel real? This is supposed to be an exercise. I mean, haven't I always been known as a psychopath? Why are you so surprised to see me act like such, Kaken? That seems to break him out of whatever stupor he was in. Deku. He sends a blast towards the victim of his torment. Yet he nimbly moves away from it with a small chuckle and a that's better. Izuku swings the scythe so that it knocks into Ada once more, purposely avoiding to hurt the other too much. I'm going to fucking kill you. Oh, I'd like to see you try. He quickly acts, moving to hit them with the scythe but not hurt them. Once they're both on the ground, he pivots and runs. His mad laughter bounces off the walls as he dashes towards the opposite direction from where Uraraka. He goes through winding hallways, leading them astray. He's facing them now after a few twists and turns. He cackles lowly, dragging the blade of the scythe on the ground as he hums a different tune now. Why is he singing? That's only making Bakugo angrier. While Bakugo is running towards him, Ada is at a crossroads. The hero is staring between the hallways and thinks he's probably trying to lead us away, which means the weapon is back this way. They've split up now. Now, it's up to him to capture the weapon. He ignores the crazy call from his friend. He can't be sidetracked by his questions, his words. Meanwhile, everyone is staring at the monitor that shows Izuku and Bakugo fighting, most of them nodding and agreeing when Tsuyu said that Izuku is terrifying as a villain. They can see that Izuku had pulled down the mask and pulled up the black hood. It was terrifying to see someone so cheerful and upbeat act like that. They can hear his laughter, hear his singing, and hear all that is being said on his end. Even All Might is unnerved by his successor's sudden change in mood. He's okay. This is just an exercise. They planned this, but why? Why do I feel so unnerved? Something bad is going to happen. Young Midoriya, you better not hurt anyone or get hurt yourself. Come on, Kaken, you've never been like this before. What changed? Tell me, do I scare you? If I don't, then you're about as insane as me. He cackles with such a sinister tone that it really chills some of them. His tone causes their blood to curl with every word he says. They watch the deadly arc that barely misses cutting the blonde's throat. All Might's grip tightens on the communicator the longer the fight goes on. They can tell that he isn't even trying to hurt the other, but even then, they can't help but be concerned, deciding to give themselves a break from the other fight. They glance over to Uraraka's end and see her handling it well on her own. As they fight it out, They can see Uraraka cringing when Izuku speaks again. She says something to Ada, but it's blocked. Midoriya must have had her keep her communication device off, whatever is being said. And albeit that they can't see Ada's face, they both wear matching looks of concern. Even if it's all an act, it's starting to get very worrisome on Midoriya's part. Izuku rushes forward and sends a kick to Bakugo's chest, but he's blown back with one of the other's explosions. His grip on the side slackens and it clatters to the ground once he comes in contact with the wall. A grunt comes from his mouth and he can feel bruises starting to form. He picks himself up off the ground and scowls slightly behind the mask. I need to keep this up. How can I do that? Wait, he smiles. Thank you, serial killers and your complex minds. Wow, you sure are strong. I'm quite surprised. The teen's weapon is behind the angry blonde. An unseen grin is on the villain's face as he rushes forward. Though, you should be really careful with the right hook of yours. It'll be quite sad if your arm is ripped off one day. He grabs the wrist and upper arm to flip his bully over his shoulder. You never change. It's quite boring. He grabs his scythe, twirling it in his hands as he turns back to him. Sad that you can't. The explosion is unexpected. It's so large that sends Izuku flying to the opposite wall while causing damage to their surroundings. Bone breaking can be heard throughout the comm. He bites back a groan of pain, his back hurting, his arm in agony, and something sticky and warm trails down his left calf. They did good in designing it like how I wanted. Like it. These gauntlets store up my nitroglycerin to create a bigger blast. A cruel smirk is on his face now. He's really pissed off and now he will show the shitty nerd why he shouldn't mess with him. What the fuck is wrong, shitty Deku? Lost all your shitty confidence. The laughter that comes takes him aback. His mask is askew and one glowing green eye is shown behind it. The eye is trained on him. As he gets to his feet, he fixes the mask with a small hum. He moves and reveals a piece of glass sticking out of the wounded leg. Oh, so those do something. I thought they were for show. His voice drops low as his grasp on the weapon tightens. I can't wait to break them. Bakugo, I forbid another blast like that. Midoriya, stop using that weapon. You're going to kill each other at this rate. But isn't that what life basically is? We live our lives, then we die. Death comes for us all one day, but some make it come sooner. After all, people kill each other for no reason other than petty revenge, or for fun. With each following word, the boy steps closer to his childhood tormentor with the blade screeching against the floor. Villains, heroes, civilians. We've all killed someone, mentally, physically, it doesn't matter. One person dies and life goes on, so what? You're fucking insane. We're all insane in our own ways. The timer rings signaling the end of the exercise, and the shaky voice of All Might comes through. The villain team wins. They all watch as Izuku sighs and puts his scythe back in its holster. When he removes the mask, albeit the hood hiding his eyes, they can see a bright, happy smile was hidden beneath the mask. Not a sinister one. It was all an act. A really well put act. Everything is okay until the green-haired teen is punched square in the jaw by Bakugo. He's fuming. They can see him yelling at the shell-shocked boy. He moves forward but stops dead in his tracks when that smile comes back. Something is said, they can't hear. But whatever was said, it was enough to anger Bakugo further and suddenly Izuku is on the ground. Burns on his face from where he was punched twice. He's not moving. All Might tells Ida to go and get them, now. Uraraka is to help take Midoriya to the infirmary. All Might continues on with the lesson after they leave. The other students' exercises go by fast. Not as entertaining as the first groups. After the lesson, All Might scolds Bakugo for the last and unnecessary punch. It was so bad, it broke his jaw and gave a second-degree burn. He knows to keep the two away for a while. If this happened because of a simple exercise, he'll have to figure out a plan for the two. Aizawa can probably help. Upon arriving to the infirmary, All Might sees that his successor is awake now and his eyes are wrapped. His friends are there with him and they're laughing and joking. Even with this, All Might knows that he has to have a talk with Izuku. His display was very concerning in a sense. He understands it's all part of an act, but the things he said. Young Midoriya, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. I apologize for how I acted. It was the plan that I came up with. Lead them away while terrifying them. I've learned that causes people to react in certain ways. But I'm guessing that it didn't go as planned since I got a little into it. How are the others? Hopefully I didn't scare them too badly. No, my boy. Although, I may have the idea they're glad you're a hero and not a villain. Oh, yeah, me too. He gives them the famous blinding, bunny smile. Can I take these bandages off now or do I wait? It's best to keep them on until lunch, says Recovery Girl. I want you to make sure he comes here once the last class is over. I'm going to do a checkup and then I'll tell you whether or not if you should keep them on or not. They head to their next class and Midoriya bows upon entering when he notices the teacher not there yet, apologizing for having caused them in concern or have frightened them in any way. I feel like I may have had gone a little overboard. I'm really sorry. Kirishima is the first to smile and pat him on the back, telling him how cool it was. It was scary at first, but hey, it was all part of the lesson. You have great acting skills. Quite manly. How's your injuries? Yeah, that was barely acting, he thinks. Oh, they're fine. My leg and arm fully healed. They hurt a little, but I'll be okay. I have a question before Present Mike shows up. Kirishima smiles when he gets a nod to go on. What happened to your lip? How'd you get the scar? His fingers skim over the scar and blinks, recalling the faint memory. It's a small scar, but it's a reminder of a day he can't remember well. Something he suppressed. Oh, I cut it running into a door when I was younger, he lies. Oh, gotcha. He heads to his desk with the help of Uraraka, humming softly as he taps the surface of it. He's unaware of the looks he receives. Some are concerned over the whole matter with his eyes and hope that he's okay. Others are unsure what to think. After his display during the training, it's kind of concerning and are unsure what to make of him. He winces when Mike-sensei comes in yelling at the top of his lungs. Everything is fine. Midoriya, never mind. Are you paying attention? Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm paying attention. He turns away from the teacher and lets him carry on. Why the heck did he call me out? Please, keep your muttering to a minimum. Oh, okay. And he falls away to whatever he's teaching. Don't memorize because it will end up changing. English is a crazy language. English beats up other languages in an alleyway and picks up any loose words from their pockets. He says under his breath. The few people who heard him let out a few chuckles, one going as far as snorting. The burns around his eyes left a faint pink scar above his right eyebrow. But other than that, he's healed and can still see. Ada ruffles his friend's hair, leaving to go eat upon recovery girl's orders. She has to speak with the boy for a moment and he'll be eating with her. Once they're sure his friends are out of earshot, he sighs and lifts his eyes to the elderly woman. What all do you want to know about my curse? Just the basic. What all you can do, what elements does it have to deal with, and how dangerous it is. Izuku's shoulders are rigid, his eyes following his homeroom teacher as he strides towards them. You told him, he whispers, frowning as he stares at the nurse. I shouldn't have trusted her. I don't care if he can help or not. I wanted to keep this a secret until what? Until death comes for you. How did you? I'm not an idiot, if that's what you think. I knew something was going on with you once I first saw you. Your medical records say nothing about light sensitivity. Then you bring out your scythe during the exam, not to mention your hero outfit, and finally, your quirk apprehension test. I felt the cold aura of death. I've felt it before. Every time a comrade falls, Aizawa-sensei is glaring at him. He is not in any mood for lies. So tell us about your curse. So you can see when someone is going to die. You can see these things called ghouls, and you can see the Grim Reaper. The disbelief in his voice tells him enough. Izuku shakes his head, wringing his hands. He really doesn't like this. Not at all. The look he earns, it's telling him that he made a mistake. He shouldn't have said anything. He should have kept his mouth closed and never have told recovery girl. Trusting teachers never got him anywhere. So why did he think this would be any different? You don't believe me, he mutters. He pushes his curls away from his face and puts on his glasses. I knew you wouldn't. He moved to get up, but a glare keeps him from standing. He takes a breath and waits for his teacher to say what he needs to say. Aizawa stares at the boy, problem child. He isn't sure how to take this at all. Izuku has been seeing these creatures since he can remember. How can one even know how to respond to such a revelation? No wonder the kid hasn't said anything. He knows that no one would ever believe him. It's not that I don't believe you, but it's difficult to wrap my mind around it. The words aren't what he expected. He didn't expect him to say that. Your eyes, they've been cursed by the Grim Reaper. Why? Like I said, I'm not sure. I have a feeling that death thought it was doing a good thing. They always tell me to accept the gift they gave me, and that gift is my eyes. He sighs and looks at Shota, unsure of what to say. He sighs and glances to the corner of the room, staring at Beetle, glaring at him when he grins at him. His face in general annoys him along with his personality. It reminds him of his class all put into one body. He can handle them individually, but put together it's fucking annoying. It's not a bad thing. I get to try and help people before something bad happens, but even I can't stop death. Sometimes I change the way the person dies, but other times I can help keep them from dying. I guess, in its own way, it's a gift. Just difficult. They follow his glare and see nothing. What's wrong? Some annoying bug won't leave me alone. Izuku sighs and lays on the bed, staring up at the ceiling. The silence is deafening. No one says anything, and Midoriya is running through everything he had said. He doesn't remember saying something crucial, something that he believes may be important to his teacher. He sighs again, covering his eyes. Did I tell you that my eyes can never get hurt? No matter what happens, they heal on their own. If they're attacked, a purple mist comes from them and shows the attacker horrifying images that can drive them insane. It's a good thing that I blacked out when Bakugo hurt me. It means that the mist didn't get out and harm his mental stability. He turns to look at Aizawa with those big, round, green eyes. What's your opinion on the whole matter? How much of that do you believe? He says nothing, worrying the boy. He can see that it isn't impossible for something like this to be. After all, with all the quirks that have been around, something like this doesn't seem to be impossible. It's difficult to wrap his mind around everything. It's difficult to know what to say. He needs time to think about it. He knows that Izuku has trouble trusting people with this. The hesitation and concern that was on his face told him how reluctant he was in wanting to tell him. He was also angry, so that tells a lot. He either had been told never to tell anyone, or he had been constantly criticized because of it. You psycho. That's what Bakugo called Midoriya during the test. Does that mean he has tried telling someone else other than us? Did rumors sprout because of that? You should get to class. I'll let you know at the end of the day. It hurts to see the crestfallen expression that he desperately tries to hide behind a facade. He thanks them and leaves. What do you think? Midoriya seems to be quite interesting. That's not all. You've noticed it too, yes. The entire way he acts around people, especially with adults and his peers. Yes, it's concerning. He pushes away his black hair from his face to look at her. Let's wait and see it out. If it doesn't get any better, then I'll step in and try speaking with him. I don't believe that All Might even knows what's going on. That fool is more naive than anyone I've ever met. The underground hero rubs his temple and thanks Recovery Girl for having brought it to his attention. Now he can help the teen. He needs to jot things down, make a plan, and keep an eye on Midoriya. He needs to ask around in 2 weeks, see what they've noticed about him. The teenager arrives home, and the first thing he notices is the folded paper on his kitchen table. Frowning at the sight, he moves forward. The first thing he notices is the blood stains. Warning bells go off in his head. He quickly makes his way over to where his mom keeps latex gloves for when she gets a small cut on her hand, and puts them on. He unfolds the paper and reads the message. Magazine clippings. Midoriya quickly puts the paper down and grabs his phone. When they pick up, he licks his lips as he stares at the letter. Yes, I think you should come see this. When Tsukachi arrives, he sees the paper on the table. The first thing he notices is the red stains on it. He pulls on gloves and reads the message. I know who you are. I know what you value the most. I will come back one day. Until then, we'll see each other someday before that day comes. Crimson Artist. They personally targeted Midoriya. Why? Why him? What would they get out of that? This is the second letter that we've received, so after you two meet, they'll start the murders. Dark eyes close, and he leans back with a sigh. I can't think of anything. This is getting out of hand. 10 months have gone by. 10 months of blood and tears. How sick can someone be? Human nature. That's all Midoriya gets. He sighs and places his head on the table. Whose blood is that? One of the last victims, or maybe a new one? Who knows until a test is ran? All you can do is use this as a piece of evidence. This isn't a show. You won't find them in less than 2 days. You're right. Detective. They might be a police officer. Or someone who knows how to get into the station, and no one will bat an eyelash. Midoriya drums his fingers on the table. No one knows I'm helping with this case other than the police and my mom. That makes sense. The help of this teenager is kept under wraps so no one can target the boy. Now that he is a target, it means someone is working against them. And I can't get away with interviewing them. It'll scare them off. Yet, what if we're dealing with a team? So someone who can access records. It's not hard to hack into them. You can always find a hacker online. A pointed look is given. Sorry, I'm just not sure what one can do. This whole case is frustrating. No evidence. No witnesses. It must be a team. The kidnapper must be police officer, since no one thinks anything bad will happen if they trust them. A friendly face. Maybe someone who has helped the victims before. Tsukachi nods. Let's just hope they don't try anything soon. Let's hope. I'll see you sometime again. I'll call if anything happens, okay? Yes, of course. Have a good night, Midoriya. You too. Have a safe trip home, detective. Once the man leaves, Midoriya sighs and stares at the table. How did they get in my house? Do they have a quirk that allows them to do that? Or what? He shakes his head, yawning. It's late. I can find out later. Arriving in his room, he feels a soft breeze hit his face. The window is open. Izuku deeply frowns. Grabbing a knife from one of his drawers, he looks through the room. Nothing. The front door slamming brings him out and finds the small chain swinging. He rushes out and finds no one. Damn it. They were inside the entire time. The detective and I spoke. How did we not notice? He quickly grabs his phone, texts Tsukachi. Someone was here. They listened to our conversation. Be really careful. They know what we know. Act normal at the station, please. It isn't a few minutes later that he gets an answer. Are you all right? Did you get a visual? No. He pauses for a second. But I believe that the security cameras got at least something. A clue maybe. Tomorrow you can come and check. I doubt that they were dumb enough to forget something like that. But it'll be better safe than sorry. Be safe. Ever since the letter, he has gotten no contact from Tsukachi, and Midoriya has a feeling that it has to do with the letter. It's probably best to keep him from the investigation. After that message, Tsukachi made the right choice in keeping him from doing any more. It's boring, but he has to deal with it. That morning many students are stopped by the paparazzi. Screw them, they're annoying, thinks a few students. Midoriya gets that it's their job and all, but they are annoying as death itself. They don't get how mucin damage they can do, but hey, as long as it pays they'll do anything for a story. He learns this the second when his glasses fall when he bumps into one of them, which puts him in a bad mood having to see the constant stream of corpse ghouls and human ghouls. A way to tell the difference on humans and ghouls. The ghouls have black or purple spiderweb cracking on their neck or one side of their face. It's helpful. Hey kid, one of them yells, trying to get his attention and swiping his glasses. I'll give them back once you answer a question for us. Get them back for an answer. Midoriya looks up, his eyes wide as he stares at them. He makes himself seem small, innocent, and hurt. Why are you so cruel? My eyes are extremely sensitive to light. Thank you, sir. I'm going to have a migraine because of you. And I don't even have my medication on me. One reporter punches the guy in the ribs. Geez, do you know how painful migraines can be? Give those back. We're here for answers, not to hurt the kids or lose our jobs, idiot. I didn't know. Well, next time think before you act. Midoriya thanks the woman and takes his glasses back, bidding them a farewell. He meets up with his friends who stare at him. Keep walking and don't ask, please. Yes, my eyes are sensitive but not to the point I get migraines from it. It's fine, Deku. It was rude of that guy to have even done that. Uraraka smiles at him, causing him to think, why is she so innocent and trusting? I don't deserve her as a friend. Upon arriving to the class, Izuku remembers something. It's been a week since Aizawa-sensei found out and he hasn't tried speaking to him and he doesn't blame him. Something had came up and he couldn't learn what the teacher thought on the matter. It's nerve-wracking not knowing what your own teacher thinks about something you kept a secret for a long time. Now, the teacher comes in and with his monotone voice, he announces, today, you will choose class representatives. This brings a huge freakout for most of the class, whom all yell, that's so normal. It's followed by people who want to be a representative, which leads to an inappropriate comment by the grape behind Midori. Izuku is stuck in his own thoughts when his phone dings with a text. He looks around and makes sure no one is looking. It's from Tsukachi but he doesn't open it. He puts it on silent and hides it away. What poor unfortunate will get that position? We will vote for the representative. That is much easier. Whoever gets the most votes will be suitable to lead. Aw, thank you, Ida. I have a feeling no one will vote for me. After everyone put their votes in, they look at the results. They turn to the shriek from the representative. And that poor, unfortunate soul. I knew it. I shouldn't trust my intuition cause it sucks. Why would anyone want to fucking vote for shitty Deku? Gouge out my eyes, please, he mutters, letting his forehead slam against the surface of the desk. Minda pokes the teenager, earning a groan of misery in response from him. If you want to keep 50% of strength in that hand, I suggest you stop poking me. The two representatives stand in front of the class. Vice Representative is Yaoyorozu Momo, who stares unamused at the greenie who is glaring at the ground, shaking in his shoes. She can't see the emotion in his eyes, which makes it somewhat hard to know what exactly he is feeling. You all are dead to me. Ah, so he hates this position. How vexing, she murmurs, staring at the teen who seems to be so done with the world. Just who would vote for him? He doesn't seem to be a leader type. Maybe in heat of battle, but not like this. He seems to despise being up here. Midoriya sighs, pushing his hair back. I really don't think I'm cut out for this, but whatever, I guess. He shrugs and giving them an unimpressed look while dying on the inside. We'll do our best in representing this class. With that, they head back to their desks. Lunch is not something people can just sit through and goof. Who is he kidding? He sits with his friends and the three of them are basically goofing off and having fun. They learn more about each other and everything is all well until the alarm sounds. People freak out and start heading out of the cafeteria in panic. Midoriya is having a difficult time trying to get people to calm down. He looks at Ada and then at Uraraka. Uraraka, use your quirk on Ada and Ada. Get to the front and calm them down. Ada looks towards Uraraka, who is reaching out to the male. Their fingers touch and he floats up, using his quirk to get before them. Attention. Everything is fine. There is no villain attack. Some paparazzi must have crossed the line and activated the alarm by accident. Slowly people stop shoving them around and the two on the ground sigh softly. Midoriya smiles. I can get out of this now. Yes, I have the perfect plan now. During class, he says, I have decided to resign from representative and have Ida Tenya take my place. He could do what I could not, and that was to calm everyone down during the panic. Yaoyorozu, are you okay with this? Yes, I'm fine with the decision. Good, he breathes with a relieved smile. Ada, I'll gladly accept. Thank you, Midoriya. I still want to know who voted for me because they're dead to me. I was one of them. You're my friend, Ada, but you're dead to me. They share a smile and Ada chuckles softly. The day is good. Yet, he knows not everything will remain as peaceful as this. Death would watch and do their job, meaning that they never step into human affairs. If one is destined to die, they die. No one can change it unless they're lucky enough to be able to save them. Humans have always been interesting, have always been curious, and always trying to avoid them. The Grim Reaper likes the fact that they have a view of death as cruel and frightening. The young teen, Midoriya Izuku, is the only one that understands death. Maybe that is why he is scared of the Grim Reaper. He is not necessarily scared of dying, but that he knows that the Grim Reaper is merciless and will do whatever they need to get what they want. Death is greedy. The afterlife is not cruel. The afterlife has nothing to do with what one was during their life. It does not matter if someone is one of the most powerful. They will be treated as nothing but a soul that needs to be taken. Death will do anything to take that soul, while the Phantom of the End does not interfere with human affairs. They choose a champion every now and then. Just like the other beings, life, fate, coincidence, war, famine, etc., they choose champions that they know will do good in their lives. Since the beginning, they have chosen the right champion every 4 centuries. Since then, Death cannot remember a day when they have met such a person. They believe them to be a good person. They don't know how something like this could have happened. They watch as their beloved champion slowly grow darker and darker, slowly become something that Death never foresaw. They didn't kill them. No, they could not bring themselves to. They stripped away the title of champion and went on a search for a new one. Something, well, not something, but the being Fate draws Death to the hospital. Once they arrive, Fate turns to the male version of Death and explains the situation. Remorse is held in the man's voice as he says, "I know you lost her. I know why it was to happen, but I cannot say. The main priority is this boy." Fate points to the baby that is in an incubator fighting for his short life. This boy should become your new champion. The skull moves, seeming to look between the small and recently born human to the immortal being that stands beside him. The raspy voice fills the short silence. Why? A faint smile crosses the male's dark face. Amber eyes slowly flick over to look at the baby, whose eyelids crack open and showing pale green eyes. A wide, gummy smile spreads across the baby's face and laughs slightly. Because he can see us. As the man turns, he accidentally hits the now female Death with his thick, black braided hair. I would have told someone else, but everyone already has a champion. You lost her, didn't you? I didn't even see her becoming like that. The spike in the air is enough to tell the man to drop the matter. He clears his throat. Fate can change, you know. If you ignore this boy, you can change his fate drastically. If you accept this boy, then you'll be setting the right path. Death doesn't speak for a long. She taps the glass that separates the human and the being, watching as the boy's eyes stare at her. She tilts her head to the side and waits for a reaction. The baby reaches up, as if wanting to touch the odd-looking figure. She reaches a hand in and watches as the baby curls his fingers around the bone. How? Fate find Bye-bye. I found him first, says a newcomer with an Irish accent. A female with long, strawberry red hair, freckles sprayed across her skin. She radiates an aura of warmth and life. I noticed when his eyes landed on me. He's so cute. He will be a hero, but I can tell he'll have hardships. The boy is blind, but even then he can see us, see our world. I have a champion who has 1 more year left, but by that time, this boy would be claimed. Blind, she turns and looks into the eyes of the baby. They're unseeing, yet they see the 3 beings in the room. The boy is in fact blind. Death, new champion. You will take him. They watch as the rotting flesh slowly forms and stitches itself together, her hair slowly growing and thickening. Death's corpse-like appearance changes to reveal a healthy woman with long black hair, light tan skin. She wears a white dress that show her shoulders and collarbones, gold necklaces around her neck. I will take the boy as my champion. She turns to the boy, biting down on her thumb to injure it. With the beautiful blood, she draws a symbol of death on the boy's forehead. As the 2 other beings watch, the pale green eyes slowly brighten. The color is the same green of Death's irises. What will he be seeing first? Life asks Fate. The male reminds her of that man in those old Thor movies. What was his name? He had the sword and was able to transport the people. Heimdallr. Yes, that's him. The one from Norse mythology. He reminds Life of the actor who played Heimdallr. Corpse ghouls. And Death won't be able to change it unless he asks her to. Lemwert sighs, pulling her hand away from the boy. Sad. Hope he like my gift. They smile. While Death can be greedy and get what they want, they can't help but notice the way they care for their champions. How can people fear such a being? Life hugs the other female in the room, smiling widely. He will love it, I'm sure. Death never intended to actually regret their decision. They regret choosing this boy to be their champion. If they knew what would have happened, they should have killed their old champion. But in their moment of weakness, the Phantom let the future turn into something darker than what their new champion should go through. Humans are interesting. Humans can be monsters as well as kind people. Hopefully, this world won't make the same mistake as it did with the last champion of Death. The class stands outside of a giant dome. A soft breeze ruffles their hair. waiting on their teachers to explain the lesson for today. Prior to being there, they weren't informed of what was going to happen. Only vague details about a small trip for their lesson, and that's it. They were also given permission to use their hero suits or their PE clothes. A few of the students chose to wear their hero suits while others chose their PE clothes. Izuku is one of the few that is wearing his gym clothes. The strap holding his scythe and his gloves are the only two things he's wearing from his hero costume. Apparently during the last exercise, Bakugo had burned part of it when he created that huge blast, and well, now he has to wait for the support department to fix it. The dome, as someone in the crowd said, looks like the USJ, Universal Studios Japan. The pro hero 13 tries to tell them that it isn't and explains that it's to help train on rescuing. Welcome to the unforeseen simulation joint. The USJ echoes many of the students with unimpressed tones, albeit that they're excited for their training exercise. Hopefully, Midoriya keeps the insanity down. They think as they glance at the teen who is smiling at his friends. He seems unaware of the looks he's receiving from his classmates. He just seems to be really naive and happy, so they drop the expression and go about their way. Midoriya waves a bit at one of them and glances at Uraraka, about to say something when the hair on his neck stand on end as a bad feeling comes across him. He believes it's only the ghouls around him, but that doesn't make any sense. He never feels this way when he's around them, so what the heck is going on? Taking a breath, he removes his sunglasses and makes it seem like he's cleaning them with his shirt, while in reality, he is scanning the area, standing a few feet away. He finds Death watching them. Okay, so that is never a good sign. Don't feel safe when Death is around. You only set yourself up for the afterlife. That's something he came up with when he was younger. The thought crosses his mind when he shudders and adverts his gaze to the ground. Hoping that nothing bad is going to happen, wishful and futile thinking on his part, mostly because that never helps him through shit. Best way to show an example is when they enter the dome. The ominous feeling increases by tenfold, forcing him to put his guard up. Izuku. The boy snaps his eyes over to the bringer of the N, following to where the bony finger points to. Izuku can see corpse and human ghouls pointing at the same place that's in the center of the entire building. They can all see something he can't, but even so, he has a feeling that they're all trying to warn him. There's something that he is missing, but what? Humans, classmates in danger. Run. His eyes are fixated on that one spot. His gaze doesn't leave it as he inquires. I thought it'll only be us. It's supposed to be us, replies 13. They stare at the boy, who glances to the side. Apparently, he can see something that they cannot, since he returns his attention back to the center of the dome. Why? I can't explain it, but I just have a bad feeling, like something isn't right. Abruptly, he looks towards his homeroom teacher, with chills running down his spine at the sudden revelation, and in a grave voice, he says, "We're not alone." That turns their blood cold. Aizawa turns to the space hero. Group together and go back to the bus. Now, 13 take the students out of here. The chain of events that follows is instantaneous. Once the group of people are revealed and the leader announces that they're there to kill All Might, Aizawa is already putting on his goggles and making his way to the group of villains. Realizing that the symbol of peace isn't here, they turn towards killing his reputation instead, along with the fellow occupants. As soon as he's done speaking, a black mist wraps around the students, and soon enough some of them are gone. No, 13 yells as Eraserhead growls. He glances back and yells 13 to get the remaining students out of the dome. He rushes forward and starts battling the villains. He cannot let them harm his students. Honestly, if All Might hadn't used up his 3-hour limit, then he wouldn't be having too much trouble. The villains think they can kill him. That is why they are here. And because he isn't here, they will go after the students, which would hurt him. That idiot better get here fast. Meanwhile, in the shipwreck zone, Midoriya is really fortunate with the fact his glasses haven't fallen off. He looks around, but he's underwater. His need for oxygen is coming rapidly. Then comes the villain. Damn it, I can't fight underwater. My movements will be slow and I can already feel my lungs screaming for air. Before the villain can get any closer, a tongue wraps around his midsection and he's yanked out of the water. Tsuyu is explaining something he doesn't pay attention to as he cleans the lenses while his green gaze never leaves the water. His skin prickles at the sudden sensation of a chill in the air. Turning to his classmates, he finds shadows clinging onto him. No, he turns around and scans the other people. A few shadows dot here and there. That means if we don't get help soon, some of my classmates will die. Death stands at the far side of it all, his cloak bellowing all around in non-existent wind while he watches them fight for their lives. He turns his attention towards his champion. The once blind boy, who could have only seen the beings outside of the real world, is standing with 2 of his classmates. The glimmer in those irises shows the intelligence, shows that the kid has figured it out. A once-over of the place and his gaze lands on him. No, he mouths, then he turns to his other 2 companions. Such a hero. With his sunglasses back on his face, He speaks with the two. He speaks with Tsuyu since Minta is freaking out and waving his arms around, crying puddles. Tsuyu seems to have realized something, and when she explains it, the picture becomes clear. If the villains only knew what the schedule was, that meant they made a mistake. So they don't know what our quirks are. That's good. It's better than good. He quickly looks around and hums. They need to get out of there before something worse happens. What all can you two do? He listens carefully, nodding reluctantly when he listens to Minta. Okay, so Tsuyu, Sue, he blinks when Minta cries saying something about his quirk. Izuku lets him rant while ignoring him and continuing on. How far can you jump? Soon, they're going through the plan. Midoriya jumps from the sinking ship and uses one for all to create a whirlpool in the pool. Sacrificing a finger is good enough for Midoriya. As long as they get out of there, everything will be fine. Tsuyu comes through and makes the jump. After grabbing Midoriya, the girl yells, Minta, throw those into the water now. A fine, trapping system. How did he not think of that? He smiles, glad that Tsuyu thought of it. Because they don't know our quirks, they set themselves up for failure. Always know what you're dealing with before you go into a battle. Eraserhead gets close to the leader. For a few minutes, they fight, but the villain seems to have figured out how Eraserhead's quirk works. 4. By the time his hair falls onto his shoulders, the villain uses that moment to use his quirk on him. He wraps all 5 fingers on his elbow. The pain that comes forth brings out a growl from the pro hero. His elbow is crumbling under the grasp of the villain. He forcibly pulls away, kicking the villain, and returns to fight other villains. The monster is suddenly beside the teacher, and soon the goggles are flung off along with blood. The sickening sounds of bones breaking, grunts of pain, and laughter from the head villain, it all draws the attention of one particular trio. They freeze in their tracks, staring with wide eyes at the scene. Sensei, cries Midoriya, telling the other two to wait there, and grabs his side. He knows he shouldn't, but he needs to help. He can't let him die. During one fight, the sunglasses are knocked off and he sees the dark shadow hanging over his teacher. No, I'm not letting him die. He knocks out many of the villains, swinging the scythe in a deadly arc. By accident, he cuts off the arm of the Namu that holds his teacher down. He watches with eyebrows raised and lips parted as the arm regrows. Regeneration quirk. Reacting as quickly as he can, he cuts off the hand that heads towards him. He jumps away and looks around, trying to find a way to get them out of there. Midoriya. Aizawa grunts when he sees his students fighting the monster that basically pummeled him. The Namu leads the unknowing boy towards the leader, who has one other criminal to help take care of him. The kid stops and stares at the leader, Shigaraki, who must have said something to him. He is in danger and is looking so done with life. He better not make his situation worse. He's such a problem child. Before he can react, Aizawa is on the ground once more. The black spots in his vision grow and overtake it. I needs to get them safe. He lets out a small groan and falls limp. Tsuyu and Minta watched when Midoriya stopped fighting and started speaking to the villain. They watched as the monster went right back to Aizawa-sensei. They watched and saw a small window of opportunity to grab their teacher and start running. The purple grape uses one of the balls to keep the monster at bay, long enough to take their teacher. What about Midoriya? Asks Tsuyu. He'll be fine. We need to get sensei help, Minta shouts, mostly wanting to save his own skin. Tsuyu knows this, but he's right, yet that doesn't mean she's okay with it. The pale blue-haired male who proclaimed their plans looms over the hero in training, glaring with intense hatred. Those green eyes filled with disbelief never leaves his form, and it makes him want to strangle him, seeing that he doesn't seem to even cower in fear. If I don't cower in fear in front of the real death, then why would you be special? That's what he said when he told him to fear the fact that he can kill him. That bastard. After revealing the fact that he questions them and does not believe that they can kill the #1 hero, Shigaraki has been itching to hurt the brat. What? You don't think we can? No, not really. You see, he's not scheduled to die anytime soon, so you're kind of wasting your time here. He shrugs, tightening his grip on his scythe as he twirls it in his hand. He moves into a defensive position, trying to come up with a plan to get out of there. Not wasting my time because hey, now that you're here, I can ask you something. This earns him a growl from the head of the villains. It seems you won't last any longer, so ask your question. Shigaraki hisses the warp gate guy, who overheard. The response to it is a small enough kirigiri. Izuku blinks at this, accidentally dropping his stance. He can't help but find it surprising, yet amusing all at the same time. One of the villains takes this opportunity to knock the weapon out of the kid's hands and grabbing his arms. Damn it, he hisses under his breath as he watches the hand guy move to grab the scythe. So the normal living can't touch the weapon? That's a good thing. It just means that they can't turn my weapon against me. Izuku watches the guy scream frustration and attempt to kick the weapon as he turns towards the brat that revealed them to the heroes. Great, but I still have that question. So who is the Crimson Artist? Never heard of them, and you just wasted your breath on a pathetic question. I don't think I did. You helped narrow things down for me. To hear you don't know one of the most famous serial killers says something about you in them. You care more about wanting to defeat heroes, but you have no clue how much danger you can be in if you misstep around a few parts in this city. He tilts his head to the side, his hands itching to attack his captor. Not yet. Maybe if I get them talking long enough I can stall them until the heroes come. It's amusing, thinking that you, a villain, thinks that he is safe. No matter who you are, what you are in life, death does not care. Death will take us no matter what. That is what makes death so cruel. You think you can kill All Might. Newsflash, death has no interest to capture his soul just yet. His lips stretch as he looks at him, eyes wide and full of an emotion that can be seen as amusement. But on the matter of you thinking you can kill All Might, how do you plan on doing that? I can already tell that you're too weak. No weak person can kill someone with such power. Sure, you can ruin his reputation. After all, when he wasn't in his assigned position, villains attacked his students. How do you think that'll blow over in the media? Something like this, however small, can lead to people questioning how much this school and the faculty care about their students. This attack is enough to ruin All Might's and the school's reputation alone. So tell me, what do you plan on doing to physically kill him? Red eyes narrow, glaring at the boy in front of them. He reaches out, placing a hand on the boy's cheek, one finger up. I don't think you're in any position to ask such things from me. He laughs. The utter insanity that he showed his classmates during that exercise is back. It is something unexpected which causes Midoriya to watch with amusement as the villain withdraws his hand away in surprise, almost like he burned him. Behind the hand that covers his face, the villain frowns, staring at the hero in training. Izuku drops his head, letting his chin touch his chest. The cruel smirk that he wears is something that the leader is so used to seeing on villains, on people with minds that have gone away into a land that no one can ever see. Unknowingly petrified, Shigaraki can see the glare through the curtain of bangs. Those green eyes that he previously saw are gone and have changed to purple with golden specks surrounding the pupil. The amusement had dulled to complete and utter hostility with a hint of smugness. It doesn't matter what position I'm in, death is always on my side. What is this feeling? Why can't I move? What is he doing to me? Shigaraki stares wide-eyed as he feels the atmosphere drop in temperature. The feeling of death staring down at him, breathing down his neck, it hurts. He can hear things that never were there before, voices that are familiar but he can't place. The boy is smiling widely, almost fond at the fact that he is able to bring such expressions onto the faces of villains. He gets out of his captor's grasp, who can't even move, frozen in his spot and staring at the teenager who can cause such a reaction. They watch in bewilderment as he raises a clawed finger up to his left eye and shoves it into the socket, shredding the eyeball with glee. One of the villains passes out at the sight. Another gags and vomits once he yanks his hand away, revealing a mutilated eye as he never once looks away from Shigaraki, who doesn't know how to react. He just gouged out his own eye. What type of hero hurts themselves in such a gruesome way? I've seen terrible things, done terrible things. Yet why do I have the need to flee? This kid, there's nothing normal about him. There's something not right. Even Kurogiri, who is spectating from afar, isn't moving. Many of my minions are in too much of a shock, or unconscious to even react. Purple mist spills out of the socket, blood trailing down his cheek after it. He hums a chilling tune under his breath as he grins at the remaining villains. I don't normally do this, but you're in a special predicament. He tilts his head to the left, letting the blood and the mist take the form of a dual-colored waterfall. You surely should do your homework before rushing into a battle. Study before you act. Quite sad that you resorted to this. It would have gone better if you waited until you knew of our quirks. Underestimate your opponent and you ensure your defeat. The villains around him either drop like flies or stop breathing once they start seeing corpse ghouls around them. One going as far as muttering, "What the hell?" Rotten flesh falling to the ground. A few heads or limbs missing, intestines spilling out. A few eyeballs are popped out of sockets and hang by the nerve, swinging or resting on their cheek. Signs of mutilation and torture are seen on some others. Maggots crawl all over them. There are signs of hair having fallen out, patches of skin removed to show skull or even a hint of brains underneath. If one can think of a zombie at the description, they're wrong. Decaying bodies of actual dead people. Those who have gone through hell in their lives that now walk beside the living. The ones that want justice for what had happened to them. The worst of it all, the stench of death is harsh and fills the air. The dead walk amongst them, yet the living have no clue. They can't touch them, but even so, it's enough to have a few throw up or even pass out from the sight. Death isn't all that happy with you lot. His voice changes, raspy and old. Shigaraki's attention is brought back to the teenager in front of him. Insanity in his eye as the injured one slowly heals and the blood stops trickling. You've all killed, haven't you? Now, your victims surround you and want to show you hell itself. A low chuckle rips through the air between them. I'm tempted to let them, but I'm not allowed to. I can't, but I wonder how you'll fare when. It's going to be all right for I am here. Izuku blinks almost as if he's coming out of a trance and covers his eye. The mist is gone and so are the ghouls. At least they're gone to the normal eye of the other humans. The scythe is back in his grasp just as All Might grabs him. He places him down and stares at the curly hair of the boy whose head is bowed and is staring at the ground. Young Midoriya, are you all right? Yes, I'm fine, All Might. Just a few scratches and a broken finger. He needs to warn him. Yes, he won't die today. But it's still best that he warns him. Wait, All Might, they have this thing. You need to. It'll be all right, young Midoriya. Everything will be fine. He leaves before Izuku can say anything. You made a mistake in attacking my students. I'll show you what happens when you mess with me. The fight is raging. Concern for his mentor is enough to keep him at bay, staying right where he was left. Midoriya stands a good distance away from them, away from his classmates and away from the villains and his mentor. They're too busy with their own things, so they're too busy to notice him. Taking this opportunity, he takes a small breath. Death, Midoriya whispers as he glances off to the side. He is worried and it shows on his face as he puts on the glasses that the Grim Reaper handed him. Be careful. Everything will. All right. What happened? I blacked out after I left. No thing to worry. Death may or may not have taken over his champion's body, and it's best that he doesn't know that. No need to scare the young boy any more than he needs to be at the moment. Death is caring, but Death is also greedy. That is how they are seen. This boy was given to them by fate and life. They shall not let the two down by corrupting him. Death will not make the same mistake as they did 15 years ago. They will shield him the best they can. Death placed a bony finger to the side of Midoriya's temple and helps his eye heal a little faster. After that, Izuku searches for his mentor, who now is fighting the Nama with the help of Todoroki, Bakugo, and Kirishima. Todoroki had frozen its arm from where it held All Might, and when Kurogiri closed the warp, it cut it off. Regeneration Quirk. Nullification Quirk. Jesus fucking Christ. This thing is essentially designed to defeat All Might. Punch after punch, it slowly starts to affect the monster, and finally, he is able to punch it into oblivion. By the time Midoriya gets there, Shigaraki is throwing a fit at the same time as the heroes in training surround him. Izuku is tired of this villain. He is done with him, and so he licks his chapped lips with a small, soft hum. Bakugo, who is beside him, glances towards the shitty nerd. If what he learned from that exercise, he knows what the humming means. He knows and is grinning. He stands at the ready once his childhood shadow starts speaking. You do remember what I told you, right, Shigaraki? You only wasted your time here. Then, that fucking grin returns as his grip on the scythe tightens. This earns a few looks from the few who are there. Everything would have been better if you did your homework. But no, you're a child. You think everything will go your own way. But here's the harsh reality. Nothing will be handed to you. And I will gladly watch as your world of ignorance burns to ashes, collapsing around you. He stares down the villain, who screams in frustration. That's moving forward with a hand out and reaching towards the hero. Noticing it, Midoriya uses one for all to propel him forward to stop it. He never makes it, for he tumbles to the ground when a gunshot rings through the air and blood splatters his face. The villain's hand has been shot, followed by 3 more places before the remaining villains make their escape with their injured leader. Dang it, if only I was faster. 2 broken legs, a few scratches here and there, and a broken finger. That's all the injuries he has by the time everything is over. His eye is now fully healed, but the dried blood brings on concern to a few of the officials that are there, and he's asked to remove his sunglasses. The villains that are still awake are being rounded up and are arrested. Some of them muttering, eyes wide as they stare at things no one can see. No one but the person who forced it upon them. They'll stop seeing it soon. I'm surprised that it didn't affect Shigaraki as much. Other than his 2 teachers and himself, no one else is injured. That's all good. While he is on the ambulance being checked over by a paramedic, he's approached by none other than Detective Tsukachi. Hello, the older man greets. He nods and thanks the paramedic for her help while asking if they can have a minute alone. Hey, it's been a while. Yes, it has. Have you spoken to anyone lately? Other than my classmates and teachers? No. Are you worried about the unsub? His lips are set to a grim line, showing how he's feeling. Yes, your interaction with the unsub will be crucial since it'll spark the new murders. Detective, I spoke to the villain, Shigaraki. I asked him if he knew anyone by the name of Crimson Artist, and he seemed to be telling the truth when he said no. He never heard of them, even though their name has been on the news. I have a feeling that they keep themselves hidden from other villains as well as to the heroes and civilians if they can avoid it. He nods. He updates him on his teacher's conditions and tells him to rest. He'll need his energy for the next morning. Wait, Shigaraki. He seems to have a child mindset, yet at the same time proves to have some intelligence. Midoriya, it's fine. You should leave that to me. I want you to rest, okay? It's been a long day. Later that night, Izuku is with his friends at home. They're having fun, joking and doing the normal, good teenager stuff when, all of a sudden, Izuku freezes in his spot at the abrupt sound of knocking that resonates through his home. He's tense despite the fact that if anything happens, he has a few friends to back him up. His friends frown when they notice his reaction. Painstakingly, he walks forward when he hears the sound of calm footsteps fade away. What? Upon opening the door, he finds a box on the floor. I wasn't expecting any deliveries. Is something wrong? Uraraka's tone holds worry and confusion, glancing at the box in her friend's hands. She can tell something is not right, especially with the way he cradles the object with the utmost care and the furrowing of the eyebrows. Get me the plastic gloves in the right-hand drawer in the kitchen and the box cutter. As soon as he has them, he puts them on and slowly opens the box, being careful not to jostle it. Holy crap, he whispers with wide eyes. Ada, get my phone and call Detective Tsukachi. His number is saved. You two stay away. Call him now, please. His eyes never leave the contents, revolted with what's inside. He brings the box to the kitchen and takes one glove off. He presses his hand to his head as he closes his eyes. He's on his way. Midoriya, what's? Ida's question dies in his throat, face paling drastically once he catches sight of what's in the box. A ruby ring around a sole finger. They don't speak to each other for the rest of that night, and Ida doesn't try to make an effort to contact him because he knows to leave his friend be for a while. Uraraka never found out what was in the box because Ida had escorted her out once the detective showed up and told him they'll see each other at school. Ida couldn't sleep that night. The images of that finger plagues his mind. Why would anyone send that to his friend? Just how sick can someone be that they would cut someone's finger off and send it to a 15-year-old? It's revolting. The next morning, Midoriya is the last one to arrive and gives a half-hearted apology, barely blinking when he sees their hurt teacher as he makes his way to his desk. Bags under his eyes are hidden a bit behind those sunglasses he always wears. Now that everyone is here, the sports festival is coming up. The teacher's words fade away into white noise as Ida glances over at his friend. He's tired, that much he can tell. He doesn't blame him. After what happened, that's not something anyone can sleep through. Sir, is it all right for UA to host the sports festival after? Yes. The tired response draws attention to the green-haired boy. His head is resting on his arms and his eyes are closed. He knows they're staring at him, but he can barely even bring himself to care about it. It's perfectly all right. It all has to do with UA's reputation. This can show people that albeit the villain attack, UA is strong. Exactly. Aizawa-sensei goes on a little longer before telling them they have a few minutes left of homeroom. In that time, Izuku receives a message. He pulls out his phone and opens it to see that they had been able to identify who the finger belongs to. Amanda Sterling, an American tourist. He thanks him and turns off his phone just to keep from getting into trouble. After modern literature, the trio of friends are heading to lunch. They talk a little about Uraraka's reason to become a hero and comfort her by telling her that it's a good reason. No need to feel inferior to anyone else for what their goals are. PSD, young Midoriya. They turn to the source of the voice and find their teacher All Might holding a box lunch. Want to have lunch? This confuses his friends, but he knows there's a reason for it. He smiles and nods, telling his friends he'll see them later. That is weird. It kind of makes you wonder if they're related. Ida glances over and hums. Yes, but I'm pretty sure it's not that. It probably has to do with what Midoriya received the other day. The box that he didn't want us to see. Yes, I have a feeling Midoriya is being personally targeted by a villain. That makes her worry increase tenfold, but Midoriya will tell them, right. As they're in lunch, they speak a little more about why anyone would target Midoriya. What was in the box? Ida presses his lips to a thin line. His eyelids hide his irises. He is having a mental battle wondering if he should say. It was revolting, utterly atrocious. He looks away. A finger. That earns a small gasp from the girl. And a note, but Midoriya didn't tell me what it said. Unaware of being watched, Ida looks at Uraraka. It's best not to bring it up. Midoriya has a lot on his plate. Hopefully, the heroes and police can get to the bottom of it. Ida sighs and fixes his bifocals. Maybe that's what All Might is talking to Midoriya about. All Might, Midoriya Izuku, thinks Todoroki. He watches the green-haired teen's friends change the subject. He's being targeted by a villain. Meanwhile, with Toshinori and Izuku, they're talking about the sports festival, and Izuku realizes that Toshinori has no clue about the package he received. Good. He doesn't need him to worry when he already has enough on his plate. Hard to keep everything organized when your life is in chaos. That is something else that the younger learned at an earlier age. He will have to redo a plan and keep up with believable lies or half-truths. This is just getting extremely ridicule. Wait, what? His train of thought freezes. You want me to what? Are you sure? Yes. This is the chance for you to announce to the world. You will be the next symbol of peace. Toshinori smiles gently at him. And, if you can, try not to use your scythe. Okay. Midoriya gawks at his mentor. How can he have such high expectations? Not even death has them. Then again, the being seems to always keep them to themselves, hiding behind a veil of isolation. The boy nods with determination in his eyes. I'll do my best, he says. His phone vibrates with a message and he looks down at it, expecting it to be Tsukachi. His heart calms down seeing that his mom messaged him. She's staying late at her work. After their small meeting, All Might watches his successor walk away. I wish you the best of luck, young Midoriya. Before the time to leave school, new messages comes onto Midoriya's phone. Why was his day full of messages? This never happened before. He sighs and pulls his phone out. Upon opening the messages, he drops his phone in horror. He's seen things no one his age should ever see, but that photo was not anything he ever saw before. The clattering sound of his phone draws more attention to him. He gives them a shaky smile and snatches his phone off the floor before Minda can grab it. He quickly sends a message to the detective and informs him of what he received. This is getting ridiculous. It's not. How did they even get my number? While many people turn away, a few continue to stare at him. One being a silent, holder of a dual element quirk. Dual eyes watch the other, a frown painting his features. What type of reaction is that? What did he receive? No, it doesn't matter. You have to get through this year without distractions. Yet, after what Ada said during lunch, that is really concerning. Midoriya, are you all right? Ada asks quietly, leaning close to his friend as he texts frantically. He's worried for his friend, but he doesn't seem to even try to reach out for help. He can't help but wonder why that is. I'm fine. Don't worry, Midoriya. I was there the other day, so don't you hide this. It's not something you need to know. So please, just drop it. The end of school comes, and as they're heading out, they're blocked by a mass of people. During the entire time, Bakugo is making the entire situation worse than he needs to, but that's just him and his charming personality. One student in particular stood out to Izuku. He recognizes the purple hair, the bags under his eyes, the one who he helped not too long ago, the one who was on the edge of falling into death's arms. The mystery boy who looks so done with life is there, proclaiming an act of war or something. For a split second their eyes meet, and then he's gone. Out of my way extras. You can't call people extras just because you don't like them. Midoriya smiles and shakes his head at his friend's actions and watches the blonde walk away. He sighs and adjusting his spectacles, excusing himself as he makes his way through the crowd. He keeps his gaze on the ground as he murmurs apologies on his way through the sea of people. Hey, isn't he the one who used a scythe during the entrance exams? Someone whispers softly. There are a few more people who murmur about him and his preferred use of a weapon such as that one. He rolls his eyes and thinks to himself, death has patience, I do not. I need to learn, but I don't want to. He stumbles slightly at the front gate. The world tilts a bit and suddenly he's grabbed, steadied by his friend. I'm fine, Ida. Thanks. You're worrying me, Midoriya. I'm not targeted by a villain, if that's what you think. He takes his glasses off, staring at the ground. Where's Uraraka? She's with Sue. They're planning on getting something to eat. A small silence hangs in the air as they walk to the train station. You asked me if I'm all right earlier. I lied. I'm not okay. I'm not being targeted by villains, but a serial killer. I was helping with a murder case and soon the trail went cold. His voice is shaky and grim, hand clenching tightly. I received a letter and the killer. He pauses to swallow thickly before continuing. The killer said that when we meet, the killings will start again. They went from torturing their victims for fun to just doing it to spite me. If we meet again, I'll be held responsible for their deaths. No, you won't. Midoriya, what criminals like that do? Their actions are on their own head. You aren't responsible. You help because you're asked to. Everything will be fine. The Crimson Murders, surely you've heard of them. Yes, I have. What about them? Ada watches as his friend pushes his hair back. I was helping with that case. He can't help but stop in his tracks. It's a gruesome case. That's right. He heard from his brother who's helping as well. The Crimson Murders have been named one of the most gruesome murders of this decade. The news barely even skimmed the surface. He had seen one of the pictures on his brother's laptop. He almost threw up at the sight. How can a human do that to another? Did you receive anything else today? Pictures. The new victim is. There's a new victim and I'm watching their progress as they slowly die and I can't do anything. The people they pass look at the kid when he shouted, not knowing what the whole conversation is about. The look of fear and defeat is enough to know not to get into it, yet they feel somewhat concerned. Ada ruffles his hair. He feels bad for his friend. He's too nice and he gets the short end of the stick, having to deal with this mess. He sighs. Everything will work out. Midoriya, you are only a teenager. While you help the professionals, you are not entitled to do an adult's work. Things will pull through. For now, you should focus more on your studies and on the sports festival. He hesitates for a second before nodding. Yes, you're right. He sighs and thanks him with a smile. His mind is on the note. Tick-tock, your time is running out. One day soon we will meet, and you will be responsible for their deaths. I'll continue sending you gifts. Let's see just how long it'll take for you to stop me. Until then, take care. The sports festival is the next week. They have to train and Aizawa's training is intense. On top of that, Midoriya goes to his taekwondo classes and trains on his own time, sometimes with Toshinori if he can. Alongside that, he researches and helps the police with clues that he notices in the pictures of the recently being tortured victim. He worked on the case until he was told to stand down. He shall not work on it any more than what he already has until the killings start again. That didn't blow over well with him, which led to yelling and a few things thrown before he shed a few tears by the time Tsukachi finally managed to calm him down. If anything happens, if he receives anything, he is to tell them. Until then, nothing has happened. The trail went cold again. It frustrated him to no end, but he cannot go against his orders, otherwise he will be pulled from it and will be monitored to make sure he does not go against it. Izuku is mentally and physically exhausted. He's so exhausted, he can't sleep. The following day will be the sports festival and he has worn his body and mind out. His brain activity is high and he is lying awake, staring at the ceiling. Because of this, he is left speaking with Beetle, the human ghoul that loves to prank him. Surprisingly, the Joker has yet to try and do anything to him in any harmful way. When asked, he responds with, "You're a better conversationalist than the corpses. Admit it, you actually like me," he jokes with a soft, tired chuckle. "I tolerate you. There's a difference." Midoriya smiles as his eyes slowly close, feeling his lips tremble as a yawn passes through them. "Get some sleep. You have a big day tomorrow." Everything falls away to darkness. He drowns in the dark waters of sleep. Soon enough, his dreams are plagued with blurred torture. While he sleeps, Beetle hums and goes through his things. Snooping around, he finds the research and frowns. What is he doing with this Crimson murder case? His curiosity is piqued and soon enough, he's reading through the entire case notes. This kid shouldn't be a hero. He should be a private investigator. Kid will do a lot more than most of the police. He hums and adds jot notes on a post-it note for Izuku to read the next morning, drawing a small emoticon. The next morning, Beetle wakes up the kid and gets him going. "Hurry, it's a big day for you, dude." Midoriya groans as he rises out of bed and starts getting ready for school. He bids farewell to his mom after telling her about the ghoul. "I'll be safe, Mom. I love you." He laughs and quickly makes his way to the train station. "Have you shadow traveled before?" No. He doesn't like that grin. He doesn't even get much of a chance to speak and is soon being dragged through the shadows of an alleyway. Everything is bathed black. He hears a few moans of misery as his bare skin is bitten by the chill of darkness. Fortunately, Beetle has a hand on his arm to keep him from fading away and losing himself. They enter the classroom. Izuku jumps and lets out a small mouse-like squeak when he realizes that there is someone else in the room. Upon further inspection, he realizes that the only one who's there is Aizawa-sensei. He sighs in relief, running a hand through his hair, pushing it back. A blush covers his cheeks, for he realizes that he must have heard the shriek that came from his mouth. "Oh, good, it's only you, Sensei. I'm not even going to ask why you just came out of a shadow." A pause, or what that noise that passed your lips was. Izuku smiles brightly and nods, laughing softly as he makes his way to the desk. He's flustered that he pointed it out, fixing his sunglasses. "So, will you tell me about the Crimson murder case?" I received a message from Detective Tsukachi. I know what's going on." Eraserhead moves a bandaged hand up to scratch his nose. "Midoriya, let me ask you a question. Do you trust me?" Yes, I do." He curses himself for stuttering, especially with the look that he is sure Aizawa-sensei is giving him. What brought on that question? "Okay, do you trust me because I'm a teacher or a pro hero?" He hesitates, looking anywhere but at his teacher. "Seriously, where is all of this coming from? It's scaring me." He doesn't need to know, but I'm sure he won't drop it. He sighs softly, running a hand through his curly hair and gently pulling on a piece. "I trust you as a pro hero and a teacher." "Midoriya, that is not the truth." Curse him and his perceptiveness. He sighs again. "As a pro hero, do you?" "Sensei, please, what does this have to do with the Crimson murders?" He changed the topic. Something is going on with him. He doesn't like being questioned like this. He chose pro hero and not a teacher. That has to do something with his past. "Kid, I'm trying to help. So tell me, do you trust us as teachers?" "No, I'm sorry, but I don't." Shota nods, having expected the answer. He sighs and moves to sit in front of him. "Why? What? Why don't you trust us as teachers? You trust us in the sake of pro heroes, but not as teachers. Are we bad at teaching?" "No, that's not. Where are you going with this? You're all excellent at teaching, but..." He trails off, reeling in the tears that sting his eyes and calming his breathing down. "But you don't want us to know about your troubles. You hold things in and don't come to us when we're here to help, because I don't need it." That shout causes his teacher to draw back a bit. He looks at his student through the bandages and notices the anxiousness on his face. "You don't need to help me. I'm fine. I don't need your help with things. If I need to go to you for a problem, it'll be because of school, not my personal life. You all have more students to deal with than just me." He falls into a small ramble, one that's hard to hear with how faint his voice is. Midoriya, his stern voice draws a small flinch. He seems to be expecting for something to come of it, and the small inkling idea of what that is doesn't suit well with the weakened teacher. "I don't know how it was at your old school, but the teachers here are pro heroes. We help people, and even more we help our students. We can help you, but we can't do that if you don't tell us the problem. Just because we have other students does not mean you can set yourself aside for their needs when you have them too." You don't have to come to me, but if you can go to Recovery Girl or even to All Might, Principal Nezu can help as well. Midoriya stares at him, bottom lip trembling as he holds back tears. I know. God, I know, but I can't. The person I want the least to know about anything is All Might. Recovery Girl has her plate full with me being prone to injury and Principal Nezu. I'm not even sure how that conversation will go. He rubs his earlobe, pulling on it slightly. I know you can help me with any problems, but I can't bring myself to reach out. Of course, I'll try to tell you. But he trails off when he notices Beetle pointing at the door. Never mind. We should get ready for the festival. The door opens and Ida comes in, pausing for a second. He asks if he's interrupting something important. No, not really. Just talking about the festival. I'm not going to be using my scythe for it. Why? He shrugs, looking out the window. He purposely stops paying attention to Aizawa-sensei, hoping to get away from that conversation. I'd rather not terrify the audience. Yes, that'll be a good thing. But honestly, you're not that scary. Well, I feel offended. They share small smiles and fall into a small conversation while waiting for everyone else. When Uraraka and Tsuyu come in, Midoriya takes the chance to wish them luck. No, don't do that, yells Kaminari, who overheard. Midoriya, you wishing people good luck is wishing them bad luck. Excuse you. Oh shit, coughs Kirishima. I'm joking, he says, melting under that withering look. His lips are in a thin line, but he can just feel the death glare. I'm sorry, I was joking. I promise. You can be so evil sometimes, it's so manly. Kirishima laughs, smiling at the green-eyed teen. I can't wait for it. I wonder who's gonna win. It'll obviously be me, proclaims Bakugo. Arrogance rolls off his figure in waves as he struts into the room. He sneers at them and glares harshly at Deku, who tenses and quickly looks away. No matter how many times he wants to put the other in his place, he can't. He can't, and it pisses him off. All he wants is to stand up to him like he did during the training, like he did to that villain. He sees the dead every day, yet he can't face the living. That's just laughable. All right, announces Aizawa when everyone is in their seats. Get in your PE clothes and put on a good show. They're in the waiting room, chilling and talking when Todoroki comes strolling up and calling Midoriya out. Why would anyone like him confront a guy like me? On an objective basis, I think I'm above you in terms of practical strength. Is he delusional? Why is he doing this? Does he see me as a threat, or what is his reasoning behind this? I mean, oh wait, he's talking. His eyes does not leave the successor of All Might, narrowed and hold a certain emotion, something that Izuku cannot read himself, seeing that he's masking it behind a facade of nonchalance, expressionless. You've got All Might's eyes on you. I'm not going to pry into that, but I'm going to beat you. Kaminari is smirking, finding this hilarious. It fills his need for drama, his entertainment. He can't help but wonder just what the young Izuku Midoriya will say in response to this. But first he's going to add fuel to the fire. Oh ho, what is this? A declaration of war from the strongest kid in the class. Kirishima is the opposite, taking a step forward and getting in front of him. He doesn't understand where any of this is coming from. What will he gain from this? He can't see a reason why one would just show up and challenge Midoriya. That's unless he sees him as a threat. He could have gone to Bakugo. After all, those two are more like rivals since they're the two top students, so there must be something else. Something that deals with personal matters. What's with the belligerence all of a sudden? Don't spring this upon him before. I'm not here to play nice and make friends. But whatever. The cold look in his eyes has them back up, but Izuku lets out a small scoff. He's annoyed. His time is being wasted. Is Bakugo not enough? Does he really have to be outed by the most powerful students in their class? They watch as he nods, removing his sunglasses but keeps his eyes closed. He rubs his eyelids with a very wide and very amused smile on his face about the whole thing. There is also an underlying tiredness in the smile, but only a few see it. What's so amusing? They all stare at the jaded irises that some of them have never seen before with uncertainty, confusion. What exactly does one think when someone is responding to a declaration of war with a look like that? I find you amusing. He raises his voice with a tone of amusement. One of the strongest kids in class declares that he will beat the most useless kid in class. If I didn't know any better, you're doing this so that you can prove yourself. Show someone that you can surpass someone that has something to do with All Might. Have you ever thought that there may be something else to it? Of course not. Otherwise you wouldn't be here proclaiming such a childish thing. If you want to challenge me, I suggest you do it because of something else, not because of my so-called relation to All Might. It's quiet now. Everyone is staring at him. Todoroki had no change in his expression, but his eyes glimmer with anger and slight surprise. So, listen and listen close. If you want to beat me, don't half-ass it. Once he walks away, purposely bumping their shoulders, someone softly mutters, "Oh shit, things are going to get real. Good going, idiot. You have 2 chances left. Don't make enemies here." Bakugo rolls his eyes at the childish behavior. He's such a psychopath. I will not let that shitty psycho win. I will become number 1. And that is what he pledges to the audience, earning complaints and yells of annoyance from them and his peers. As he passes Deku, he sees the annoyance and anger set on his face. He's wearing those stupid sunglasses again. He doesn't get why the teachers even allow it. It's clear that his eyes aren't sensitive. People seem to forget that he has known the runt for so long. He knows that he's lying and that his mom is lying for him, but for what? He doesn't have a quirk, so why does he wear sunglasses? He's lied to him about having a quirk. He has that super strength and speed. The first event will be midnight trails off until the board shows. Obstacle course. You're getting attached again, Death. I know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I can see his future. He is the one you can attach yourself to. You said that about her. Silence falls onto both beings. One of the men has healthy tanned skin, wrinkled and calloused hands. His eyes are curved, almost round-shaped, jade-colored eyes that are the exact same as his champion. The other man has healthy dark skin, his hands covered in calluses and a few scars here and there. Amber irises set deep into almond-shaped eyes are outlined with thick lashes. Remorse is set in those amber eyes, gripping the railing in front of them tightly. Yes, says Fate. I made a mistake. I hadn't been able to read her future clearly. I'll admit that it's my fault. If I had read her future better. If you did, he would be another's champion. How can Death be this adorable? Their speech is like that of a kid learning new words, sounding out each syllable. Yet they have been here since the beginning of time. It's adorable how they speak. Fate stops his thoughts. Oh no, I'm sounding like coincidence. Oh, the horror. Do you think I did good? Maybe he is bent her. Someone else. Death, it's fine. You have helped him. I honestly cannot see him being another's champion. Maybe one day he'll meet mine, help my champion with the world around him. Death nods and sighs. Will Izuku win? He'll get close. He'll win the first challenge, but the way he does is amazing. Who wins? Fate smiles, glancing at his longtime friend. You'll see. Pomeranian. What? Pomeranian. The confusion on his face says enough. What is he talking about? Fate doesn't know whether to be amused or worried. Just where has he learned to say things like that? Who are you talking about? Explosive Quirk. Holy shit. Is he talking about who I think it is? You mean the angry blonde that hates Izuku? Yes, Fate has died. He has been taken by Death to the afterlife. His headstone shall read, here lies the being, Fate. He shall be remembered as the most handsome being. Died by laughing at Death's unknown sense of humor. The robots that heads towards them gives Deku a small sense of déjà vu. Oh, wait, they're the same robots from the exam and he doesn't have his scythe. Amazing. Utterly amazing. Don't use your scythe. You can make do without it. The battle is short and sweet at first, and that is because of Todoroki. He froze the robots to where they would fall once he melts the ice. Good going. Todoroki, you're going to get someone killed. The thought crosses when they tremble and crash on two of their classmates, Kirishima Ijiru and Tetsu. The two share similar quirks, but while Kirishima can harden his skin, Tetsu can turn it to steel. He moves out of the way while most of the people attack them. He analyzes the situation, watching the robots break apart. He can feel All Might's worry from here. Don't give up on me yet, Yagi. I know what I'm doing. He picks up a plate of metal, knowing that this will be of good use later on. He runs through the course, coming to a halt at the pit. Various of ropes are strung up, a way to cross the chasm. He scowls and puts the strap on his back, swinging himself down. He has flashbacks to when he was younger, playing on the playground. He always loved crossing the monkey bars until he got blisters, so crossing the rope was simple for him. He's running once again, the metal on his back doing nothing to weigh him down. After all the training he did, it's like a feather on him. He scans around, seeing where everyone is before hurrying even more. He winces at the sudden booming of Mike's voice. It looks like they've made it to the minefield, announces present Mike. Remember, while the mines pack a huge punch, they do not kill. Why is he so loud? Whispers Izuku as he comes to a stop at the edge of the field. He returns to his analysis mode, coming up with a plan to cross the field, watching the explosions take place every time someone steps on them. A smirk crosses his face. Thank you, Bakugo. You just signed your defeat. He gets to work, digging up mines and piling them up. Once he knows it's enough, he immediately jumps on it using the metal sheet to keep himself from getting somewhat hurt. He soars above his classmates, gripping the sheet tightly. He feels the descent as the momentum fails him. He scowls deeply, seeing the two people who hate his guts in front of him and approaching him quickly. Doing this, he grins. Launching off them, he flies further and comes to a rolling stop. In first place is Midoriya Midoriya smiles brightly and stumbles back when he gets tackled into a hug by Uraraka. Deku, that was amazing. How did you know to use that huge piece of metal? Oh, I had a feeling and usually go along with it. I'm so glad that I listened to it. He smiles brightly at them. He misses the glares he receives from the two runner-ups. They group up near the stage again and Midnight announces the second event, a cavalry battle. He recruited Uraraka, a girl named Hatsume, and Takoyami. Izuku will be the one they hold up, much to his dismay, and with Uraraka's quirk, he will be basically weightless for them. Let's not do that unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay. Albeit the look she has, she feels somewhat relieved. They start planning while also listening to the announcement. They all get into formation. Izuku ties the headband around his forehead. Deku. They turn to look at the girl. Smile. He blinks before smiling at them. And go. Many people head straight for the 10 million group, but they're able to maneuver their way around. Two groups run into each other and the two tops fall to the ground, ensuring their defeat. It goes like this, a few going after each other, or them. The two runner-ups are fighting each other. A few start heading towards Bakugo and Todoroki. Izuku's group uses Maze Babies to continue. Takoyami's Dark Shadow helps fight against the others. Izuku is spilling a few analytical observations, which greatly helps the three with counter-attacking. Takoyami, if we get close to Todoroki, go for his left side. He uses his right too much, never his right. Bakugo always throws a right hook and sometimes uses his right arm too much. If you time correctly, hit above the elbow. He shouts this once the two higher groups charge them. If anything, they'll start fighting each other soon. Dark Shadow. Be careful with Bakugo. Dark Shadow warns Izuku, recalling what Takoyami said. Light effects. Dark Shadow keeps him from wanting to fight. It makes him docile. In contrast of this, Dark Shadow is more active in darkness, which makes him uncontrollable. Just as Todoroki closes in, Dark Shadow strikes his left side, surprising him a bit and almost knocking him off. Hatsume, already on it. Uraraka, got it. Takoyami, understood. Wow, it looks like Team Midoriya is a well-oiled machine. Don't you think? Shota screeches present mic. He notices that they barely need any words to communicate. They must have had a plan at the ready. Don't drag me into this. Of course, he noticed it too. To say he's surprised is a lie. Problem Child, as he named him, is quite the analyst and the strategist. Has to be if he's called in to help with murders. He profiles the people well enough to know where to hit and a way to get under their skin. Knowing this, he has to have a plan of action to do so and not get anyone or himself killed. If he knows how to mess with someone, how to come up with a good strategy, then he will ensure victory for himself. Shota makes a mental note to speak with Nezu about strengthening those skills. If he can, then it would be good for them in the future. The timer sounds and Midoriya fell onto third place much to his dismay. He lost the headband to Todoroki, who used his left side for the first time against him. It was unexpected and he received a few burns on his forearm. If it wasn't for Takoyami and his quick thinking, they would have lost. Izuku is smiling and patting Dark Shadow's head. Takoyami, Dark Shadow, you two did amazing. All of you did amazing. I couldn't have done it without you four. He gives them that bunny smile that shines brightly with happiness. How can someone be so adorable? They ask themselves. Takoyami bids farewell and goes to speak with a few others. I'm sorry about wrecking your babies though, Hatsume. Hey, it's fine. 10 million. Anyway, I'd like to thank you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to show off my babies. I'd like to be the one that you come to for your upgrades and stuff. Izuku nods. Deal, he says while high-fiving her. They separate and head back. Everything is good. The 18-plus hero is announcing the final event, and it's the one-on-one battle. Ajiro Mashiro, who has a tail quirk, steps forward and backs out of the event, which is followed by a few others whom all back out as well. They're given a break for this event, and those who backed out are playing a scavenger hunt game. Midoriya, I want to speak with you after you get your arm treated. Todoroki Shadow. Again, really? It registers in his mind that he got burned, looking somewhat surprised. When did I? Oh, he mutters a small, okay. Midoriya stares at Todoroki. They stand under one of the entrance tunnels, feeling it to be secluded and away from the eyes of others. You have something to tell me, he inquires while scratching the bridge of his nose. The son of the number 2 hero doesn't answer, muttering about something else of irrelevance. Finally, he turns towards the other. You blindsided me. Huh, because of that I broke my pledge. Where is he getting at? So, what? What is it you want to say? Seriously? He's picked up Death's speech pattern now. He's not going to admit that he's a stuttering mess. His dual-colored eyes are on his left hand, murmuring something. Finally, he looks up. Are you All Might's secret love child, or what? Hey, his eyes cut over to the side where he hears spluttering laughter coming from. Fate and Death stand to his side watching his misery. Fate, is he eating popcorn? Does he really find my pain and confusion amusing? You've gotten All Might's eyes on you. His arms are swinging wildly. That's not it. I assure you that isn't the reason. I swear. Where is this all coming from? Is he really delusional? I'm nothing special. You said that's not it, meaning there's another reason for your connection with him. His eyes are now on the lenses, staring at his own reflection. You must know that I'm the son of the number 2 hero, Endeavor. He's been the number 2 hero for a while now. If you're connected to the number 1 hero, then that gives me all the more reason to win. Izuku stares at him with bewilderment. He reads him. yet it's difficult. You don't use your left side because you're trying to prove something to your father. While wanting to beat me, you're using your right side and never your left. There's a reason and it's connected to your father. It's like you're trying to tell him that you don't need him. I'm guessing that many people would look at you and see the son of the number 2 hero. Judging by that look, I hit the nail on the head. He pauses, bowing his head. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I have a habit of analyzing people. You don't have to tell me. Todoroki watches as he turns away and is ready to leave. He mentally battles with himself for a good few seconds. Do you know what quirk marriages are? Slowly, hesitantly, he launches into the story. When he gets to the part of his mother burning him, he ghosts over the scar that he earned from his mother. No one says anything. The silence is thick. Todoroki. He whispers, but he doesn't get the chance to speak. He's leaving now. Wait, you wanted to know about my relationship with All Might. He takes a deep breath and shuffles his feet. Surely, you've heard of the Crimson murders. That brings the other back for a moment, turning over to look at the analyzer of the two. I'm helping with the case. I found the second corpse of the murder the same day I met him. He doesn't like that I have been working on murder cases for a long time, so he's helping me. He speaks to me every day to make sure I don't hold, that I don't bottle my emotions, that I don't drive myself insane by seeing the gruesome acts. That's why he has his eyes set on me. It's a half-truth. They stop though. Dual-colored eyes are set on him. The edges of them crinkled into a small frown. He doesn't understand. He's heard on the news. The murders, they've stopped 4 months ago. The case went cold. They have. But Crimson Artist has a new victim in their grasp. They will start the killing soon and I'll be the stressor for it. Until then, I'm enjoying the small break that I have at the moment since the police aren't letting me help any further until the investigation picks back up. Todoroki nods. Hopefully, they never will. With that, he leaves Izuku alone. Ada said something about Midoriya receiving a package. Not to mention that reaction yesterday. He must have received something. That killer must have something to do with it. Izuku, okay. I'm fine, Death. I'm perfectly okay. I just have a lot to process right now. I should get something to eat as well. Hopefully, I don't do anything stupid. He turns to the other being. It's nice to see you again, Fate. How's your champion? He's struggling. Both of his parents passed away, leaving him with his aunt and her co-workers. Maybe one day, the two of you will meet. Maybe. Bakugo hears him walking away. Death, Fate, Champion. What? That shitty Deku must be losing it. The first match is about to start. Shinsu Hitoshi versus Midoriya Izuku. In the waiting rooms, Ajiro approaches Midoriya and explains Shinsu's quirk. Don't respond. Don't speak to him. He has a brainwashing quirk, so be careful. Welcome to the first match of the sports festival. Midnight goes on with a few rules, throwing around the whip for effect. She smiles widely, moving her hips a bit. He hasn't done anything eye-catching and we haven't seen much of him. Everyone, we have Shinsu Hitoshi from the General Studies Department. Here comes the insomniac-looking kid. His purple hair standing up on end and a scowl adorns his face while he holds a nonchalant stance. And the other challenger started off with a huge bang but hasn't done anything since. We have Midoriya Izuku from the hero course. The champion of death makes his way out, his fingers twitching with his thumbnail scratching the side of his index finger. It's a sign of nervousness. His eyes are scanning behind the lenses, reading the teenager that he met a long time ago. He's happy to see him here. Nice to know that he's continuing on. Although, he can see something akin to anger. The people in this world only care about quirks and it pisses me off. If you don't have a flashy quirk, you're not worth it in this world. If you have a villain's quirk, you're outcasted. I don't think that there's a villain's quirk or a hero's quirk. It all depends on the user. Human nature deals with lashing out at the things that scare them. If they don't understand, they'll react with fear and anger. His sharp and calculating green irises meet rough and angry purple ones. Your quirk is amazing. You can do so much with it. He remembers the look of surprise from the other. Now, he's staring at the teen once again in almost a year. That's the kid. The one that gouged his own eye out. He had purple mist coming out of it. Shigaraki slams his fist on the top of the bar counter. He removes the hand and watches him. He hasn't used that. His quirk, he hasn't used it. Kurogiri sighs, staring at his young charge. Maybe it's not something that should be shown. I was there, Tamura. I saw the same things you saw. It pisses me off. Don't you think that there might be something else? Like what? His eyes, his voice, they changed. He asked me about a serial killer. Then he asked me what our plan was. When I told him he was not in any position to ask, he said something. He stares at the screen, watching Shinsu speak before Midoriya attacks. It doesn't matter what position I'm in, death is always on my side. Right at the end, his voice changed. It was weird. What are you thinking? There's more to him than what we believe. That I got. His eyes trace the screen, seeing the hero make a mistake and fall for a trick. Soon, he's walking towards the line. A flick of the finger and then he's running towards Shinsu again. Brainwashing quirk. But what was that with his finger? I believe it has something to do with death itself. You're not making any sense. You sound as if. Think, Kirigiri. The scythe. Those eyes. The feeling of death around us. Those corpses. You heard the things he said. He spoke about death like he knew of it personally. Like he's personally spoken to it. He said that death isn't happy with us. So what do you think, Kirigiri? Do you think I'm an idiot? The kid may act insane, but he is nowhere near so. He may be good at acting then. You don't get it. He scowls. Fine. You don't have to believe me. Shigaraki. Enough. The sternness in the warp's voice causes him to freeze up. Just continue watching this. You have nothing to go on with this. You think everything will go your own way. But here's the harsh reality. Nothing will be handed to you. And I will gladly watch as your world of ignorance burns to ashes, collapsing around you. That's what he was told by that kid. The one who won the match by judo flipping the other out of bounds. How I hate you for that. I'm not ignorant. You don't understand. Shigaraki, you will meet with the hero killer, Stain. Damn it, sensei. I don't catch a break. And a hero killer, Stain, that's worse than Crimson Artist. Maybe the two know each other. Call me when Midoriya's back on, he says as he walks away. When alone, he mutters, you have intrigued me and we will meet again. By that time, I'll give you answers as long as you do the same. You will not run this time. I will get my way this time and you will not stop me. Stalking is simple, especially if one is good at it. The Hasu ward in Tokyo is being targeted for another murder case. They have found out it is. They're just looking for him. The hero killer, Stain. The heroes there are looking for him. One known as Ingenium. They are having trouble tracking him down. Unknowingly to them, they're being stalked from a hidden niche of one of the higher buildings. A crazed smirk on his face says enough. He is out for blood today. After their fight, Midoriya catches up with Shinsu. Hey, it doesn't matter what your quirk is, you'll be a great hero. He gives him a smile, taking his glasses off once they're under the tunnel. Their eyes meet and he says, your quirk is amazing. You can do so much with it. Don't be discouraged by people. It's human nature. Well, wait, you're from the bridge. The smile tells him all he needs. Thank you. I don't think ever got to say it, but thank you. He nods. It's nice seeing you again, Shinsu. Likewise, Midoriya. He holds out his hand and Midoriya shakes it with that famous smile of his. Maybe not everyone is bad. A few of his classmates had cheered him on, and that had never happened. A lot of people would always avoid him because of his quirk. They walked to the stands holding a small conversation together. This is nice. I hope it doesn't stop. The festival continues on, and Ada is wondering if his brother is watching. His fight comes around ends when Hatsume has no more of her babies to show off. He won because she forfeited the match. He goes and meets up with his friends, listening to Midoriya's mumblings as he watches the matches closely. He's profiling them, not just their quirks but their behavior. He blinks before taking his phone out to record him, wanting to know what exactly he can read. The fact that he has led on murder cases, it means he can read people easily, so he wants to see just how spot on he can be. He also notices that he can probably help his brother with something. Ida, yes? Are you recording me? Yes, good. I don't have my notebook with me. Smart thinking. Oh, a pause. You should always be prepared, Midoriya. I know. He sounds disappointed in himself. Maybe it's because he didn't plan accordingly. The somewhat elite makes a mental note to buy a handheld recorder for his friend for times like these. The matches continue until it comes down to Ochako Uraraka versus Katsuki Bakugo. Izuku and Ida both head to the room. There they find their nervous friend. Hey, Uraraka. Oh, hi Deku, Ida. We came to wish you luck, Uraraka, announces Ida. He gives her a reassuring smile. You have a formidable opponent. Ida excuses himself to answer the phone. Bakugo. He takes a breath as he continues. Uraraka, if you want, I can help you with a plan. I've studied his fighting. No, she cuts him off. It's fine, Deku. I appreciate it, but really, I want to do this without help. She smiles and stands up, placing a hand on her friend's shoulder. I've got this, don't worry. He gives her a smile in return and nods. Good luck. The fight was amazing. Her asteroid field move was the best. In the end, she couldn't win. Her energy was spent from that last attack. Bakugo was pissed off as usual, and confronted him by asking why he put such a suicidal plan in her head. He shook his head, told him the truth before making his way to where she was going to be. He tried comforting her, but they announced his match before he had the chance to finish. As he heads for the stage, he has a run-in with Endeavor. Endeavor, what is he doing here? Probably to see Todoroki. Oh, so you are here. Wow, can you sound any more disgusted? I won't stop you. Your quirk, he starts, it's quite powerful. It can almost rival All Might's. Where is he going with this? Honestly, why don't people just get to the point in their rants? What? Where are you getting at? The annoyance leaks into his tone. He doesn't have time for this and he won't leave. I need to get going. It's my son's duty to surpass All Might. It's his what? He can't be serious. That is why I created him. He continues on, and with every word, he pisses Midoriya off even more. His fight will be informative. He shouldn't disgrace himself. The whole creating thing. That's sick for a father to say. A parent doesn't create someone for something like that. Human nature, he argues. If the person is petty enough, wants revenge, then they will do something like this. The human would do whatever they can to achieve their goals, no matter how toxic they can get. Izuku removes his sunglasses. His iris is shifting to a dark purple with bright golden specks, different to the USJ incident. He stares straight ahead, not attempting to look at the number 2 hero, not yet. I am not All Might. It's obvious. He can practically hear the sneer. The deadly aura around him flares. The temperature dropping could almost rival Todoroki's ice. This feeling, he intensifies it, makes it feel thick and suffocating. It's obvious. The chilling, eerie calmness captures Enji's attention. It sends chills down his spine, paralyzed in his place. Sweat rolls down the side of his face, mouth open as his eyes never leave the kid in front of him. Izuku slowly turns around, glaring harshly at him. Those eyes, it's almost like he's staring death in the face. Steely, cold, promising to show him hell if he makes one wrong move. Then it should be obvious for you to see that Todoroki isn't you. He may be your son, but I fully do not accept that. Be glad I care about him enough that I don't go ruining your reputation. He grins that villainous grin. Shadows seems to gather over his eyes, seemingly making them look like sockets. And trust me when I say this, I can and I will ruin you if I am given the chance. He leans back on the balls of his feet and tilts his head to the side, smiling that bunny smile. In that moment, it is difficult to know that he just threatened him. As he walks away, he wishes he had taken a picture of the outmost look terror that was on his face. Deku versus Todoroki. Hopefully neither of them go too far and someone ends up dying. Well, it's mostly Uraraka hoping that Izuku doesn't go outright insane with this, or else he may be thought of as a villain, and she doesn't want her friend to be looked at with fear. He's such a good strategist, but sometimes he scares her. Self-sacrificing. He doesn't seem to show any restraint until someone is safe. That is worrying. Deku, you shouldn't put the weight of the world on your shoulders. I already know how you are, I can see it. Please be careful. The fight starts and there's already an explosion. Shadow had sent a wall of ice that Izuku had broken through by sacrificing a finger. Izuku is mad. He knows what Todoroki is planning. Oh, so you're going to only use ice. I told you, if you want to beat me, don't half-ass it. He moves forward, taking the small window of opportunity to get closer. His eyes are sweeping across the surrounding areas, taking in everything he can use. The moving of Todoroki's hand movement catches his attention. He watches it head towards him before he moves out of the way, scowling. He is making him mad. That's good. Anger helps dull the senses and cause someone to become sloppy. Todoroki, on the other hand, has been trained to control his emotions, so it'll be more difficult for him to lose control. Hit the right weak points in the emotional block, then watch as any control slips away. He's able to trade blow after blow, usually getting his left side before jumping back. Blast after blast, Todoroki sends the ice. Midoriya continues to dodge the assaults, punching him at times before breaking another finger to stop one more attack. He watches as frost starts to slowly cover his right side. A drawback. That's it. It's unbalanced. Then he sees those dual eyes leave him. They slide away towards the stands where Todoroki's father stands. He scowls before dropping it. A broken hand moves up to his eyes, taking a hold of his sunglasses and rips it away. Izuku discards them to the side. You want to beat me? You can't even keep yourself balanced. What are you talking about? He snaps. Another blast and another finger broken. They continue going. Midoriya says nothing, but his eyes are glittering dangerously. Their fight is long. Midoriya can win easily, but he doesn't. He always stops and waits for the other to take the upper hand, fighting right back. You've always been known as Endeavor's son. That is what you are trying to show, that it doesn't matter who your father is, you are who you are. His voice is monotone. He stands a few feet in front of him with a blank look. You are pettily avoiding to use your left side, slowly destroying your body. He takes that moment to strike him, punching him in the ribs. He drives him a few steps back before being forced back himself. He can see his resolve slipping. I destroy my body because I can barely control my own quirk. You know how to control yours to a degree, and yet you let it destroy you. He watches as he looks away again. You're fighting me. A flash of surprise. He didn't expect such an angry shout like that. It threw him for a loop, blindsiding him long enough to get punched in the face. Stop looking at that idiot and look at me. Or are you always going to look towards him for approval during real fights? He takes a deep breath. It's your goddamn power. It's your fucking life. Those eyes, they change slightly to a soft violet before fading back to sharp green. Those jade irises glitter, shining brightly when the light of the fire coating his left side hits them. At that moment, he knows he won't be able to defend against it. All of his fingers have been broken again. Soon the temperature drops and a huge ice blast is heading straight for him. He uses one for all in his right arm, moving forward to meet the attack. Cementos, who had been second-guessing himself, finally acts. He stops the fight and everyone watches as the assaults meet the cement walls. The two are blown back, only one being out of bounds. Midoriya Izuku is out of bounds. Todoroki stares with wide eyes as they haul the broken body of the other to the infirmary. He follows, heading to the waiting room to change. Because of how messed up the stage is, there's a break. He stares at the table, thinking back to the fight. He could have won. He drove me back several of times. Why did he continue? What was the point? He broke both of his arms. I can't figure him out, yet he can see through me. He has a crush fracture in his right hand. I won't be able to revert it back to the way it used to so cleanly anymore. For now, the fragments need to be extracted so they don't get stuck in his joints. Healing comes after. You've asked too much from the kid. You put ideas in his head and this is the outcome of those ideas. Shio chastises Toshinori. Don't praise this, for it's not something you should praise. At that moment, some of Midoriya's friends are yelling at the team because of his performance. Standing at the door of the infirmary, the sight of his arms bound to his chest, it's frightening. They watch his eyes flutter open before they're being told to leave. Everyone get out. He's being prepared for surgery. Recovery girl chastises them, pushing them out and ignoring the shouts of worry. The boy is unconscious. No pain. Toshinori stands there with a solemn look on his face. He goes and sits outside of the room, letting her work. The entire time, he thinks of Midoriya. It is true that he shouldn't praise it, but he can't help but feel proud for how he's growing in mentality. He is getting closer to being a hero. No, he already is a hero. When he wakes, his right hand is shown to him. The scars stand out against his pale skin, the crooked fingers a sole reminder. This is what happens. You shouldn't have gone all out like that. This should be a reminder of why you need to control it. Now, I won't be healing more wounds like this, okay? He nods in understanding and glances at Toshinori. I'm sorry, he murmurs. What exactly is he sorry for? There are so many things. A huge list of things. He just feels disappointed in himself because he didn't do as All Might wanted, what he hoped for. It's okay, my boy. Just focus on healing right now. He smiles and pats the boy's head. I'll check on you later, okay? He nods with a smile. Once he's gone, he turns his attention to Death. She is in her healthier-looking form, giving him that disappointed mom stare. Hee, I love you. No, recovery girl watches the boy hold a conversation with Death. I know, I'm an idiot. A pause. No, it's okay. He smiles and turns to look at her. His eyes hold slight pain and exhaustion. Death says hello. Also, she's mad at me and will like to see what your punishment will be for my stupidity. Albeit, I hate for you to be entrusted for that. You shouldn't be responsible for me. It should be Principal Nenzu. A soft smile replaces the deep frown. Izuku, I don't pretend to know what goes through that complex mind of yours, but I do want to hear why you chose to save him in the manner you did. He wouldn't have listened to me in any other way. That was the only way I thought of in less than a bit. He glances over to the being she can't see. I don't want someone to hurt their body because of something else. He knows how to control his quirk to an extent, but he purposely hurts himself. I cannot avoid hurting myself. I'm trying so hard to keep from doing so, and to see someone do it on purpose, it infuriates me. Death. Proud. Izuku should. Protect. First, I should protect myself. Is that? Yes, you should listen to them. You need to protect yourself as well as others. A soft smile. Then he's gone to watch the rest of the festival. The third round goes smoothly, but in the end, Bakugo won. Midoriya watched the entire fight and knows that Todoroki messed up. Bakugo is livid because he half-assed it. That's great. What's even better? Bakugo is acting very violently at the moment. The only other thing that Midoriya pays attention to is Ida's sudden disappearance. He faintly heard the conversation, but then he just left. He sighs, watching the ceremony. His phone rings and he curses. He can't hold it well. His arms are bandaged and casted. His left hand is okay, but the bandages restrict some movement and he's in pain. He will not go through that pain for a measly phone call. Kirishima, can you? No problem. He grabs his phone and they walk to the hall so he can hear the person. Kirishima puts the call on speaker. Hello, is this Midoriya Izuku? Yes, who's this? My name is Kenji Tsurugami. I'm the chief of the Hasu Police Department. Midoriya, I have been informed by Tsukachi that you're the person to reach. Kirishima, who's listening, stares at Izuku in shock. What is going on? Why is the leader of the police reaching out to him? Izuku scowls, ignoring his classmate. This isn't good. Well, it depends on the case. I can give a behavioral analysis of the unsub and help give the initial area where one can be hiding as well as interrogation. You're needed at the Hasu police station. The investigation needs your help. Send me the details and I'll meet you in Hasu later today. Farewell and be safe. A click and the call ends. Midoriya, don't. I'm not answering any questions. Just forget what was said. It'll be better for you. Thank you for helping me, but I must leave. 2 days later, Eda is waiting for his friends. Because of the sports festival, people recognize them all at some point, so some will be having difficulties getting to school. Midoriya was overwhelmed in the train that morning because of it. Almost had a heart attack. One glance at his friend and Midoriya can see something is wrong. He knows what's bothering him. Is this about what happened with Stain and your brother? Eda stares at his friend, frowning deeply in bewilderment. You heard. I'm actually working on the case. You're what? The angered exclamation brings unwanted attention from the other students who look on with interest. Eda is livid. How can the police even think that is a good idea? That's ridiculous. You're only 15. How can they? You shouldn't be. Eda, it's okay. Please, lower your voice. Let's get to class and I'll explain what I can. Aizawa-sensei isn't in the room yet. That's good. Now, Eda is staring at his friend awaiting for answers on how he was wrapped up in a case as serious as this. How are you working on this? Kenji Tsurugami called me. He asked for my help. I gave him the rundown that Stain works in the alleyways. He will target a hero he believes is only a fake, has no good purpose for being a hero and will bring them to an alley. His motive is to rid the world of fakes, and only heroes like All Might should exist. Eda is thoughtful. His demeanor is off, Midoriya notes. Eda, don't. I know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're implying, Midoriya. I'm not going to do anything rash. Eda, if you need to talk, come to me. I promise, I want to help. Okay. Midoriya is really worried for his friend. He'll have to make sure that he doesn't do anything that will harm him. Little Hypocrite would do the same thing, but that isn't the problem at hand. Okay, Stain is going to pay for what he's done to my brother. Midoriya sighs and rubs the bridge of his nose. Deku, you're not wearing your sunglasses. Uraraka's chipper voice catches his awareness. Since the festival and after the fight with Todoroki, he's stopped wearing sunglasses. Of course, there are times where the feeling of them missing gets to him and he needs to have them on. Because of this, he has them in his pockets at all times. Your eyes are so pretty. I'm glad that you're not wearing them anymore, but it is weird after one gets used to them. Heh, try having worn them almost all your life. Sometimes I freak out because I can see things without attending to the colors. He gets her to laugh and they speak while trying to include it. Everyone to your seats, announces the bored and now fully healed teacher. Today's lesson will be on hero informatics. For whatever reason, the mood dropped. Then Aizawa heard the mutterings, praise of people not wanting it to be a pop quiz. Honestly, these kids will be the death of me. Problem Child will probably give me a heart attack with the things he's done, and will keep doing. You will be starting internships soon. After the sports festival, many of you have been selected by many places. The results are shown. Todoroki and Bakugo are the two highest. Izuku got no recommendations though. A few behold in the results for a few good minutes. Because of this, you will need to choose hero code names. They will be going through me. Thus comes in the R-rated hero Midnight, the handcuffs rattling with every step. She's been standing out there the entire time, waiting for that moment. Of course, this will change one day if you feel like it, but please choose the right ones if you can. She watches as the class cheers while Midoriya looks bored and glances at his phone when it dings loudly. Kill me, and stop staring, or I'll gouge your eyes out. He curses when he forgets that he didn't silence it. Midoriya, why do you have your phone out? Oh, my apologies, Midnight. He sheepishly grins and places his phone away. He ignores it and hopes that the sender knows he's in class. He huffs when a few people look away. Problem Child. The said kid looks up when his teacher looks up from his own phone. You're dismissed. Wait, seriously? Midoriya gets to leave. Kaminari complains. He watches him get out of his desk, but not grabbing his things. Yeah, what business does shitty Deku have that's so important? Many more questions are cried out as Izuku makes his way out. Chief Kenji Tsurugami is here and needs to speak with our little listener, Midoriya Izuku. Present Mike. Some of the questions causes him to hesitate at the door, looking at Aizawa and seeing what exactly he was going to say. Important matters is what business he has that is so important to answer your question. Now go, Problem Child. Yes, sir. Midoriya is standing in front of Tsurugami, Toshinori, Principal Nedzu, and two teachers, Present Mike and Snipe. Three of them seem to be concerned, almost as if they're not on board with a plan that they have. Is this about Stain? Yes. Tsurugami, argue this is a good idea. He's only a kid. Why have a kid be on a case like this? Snipe-sensei, if I may. I've been helping on murder cases since the age 12. 13, and I assure you that everything will be fine. All I do is provide a profile and help them determine a hypothesis on where the killer may be hiding, where they strike, and help on a few interrogations if needed. Everything will be under control and under no circumstances am I allowed to physically act. Why are they not meeting me in the eye? He frowns when he looks over to Tsurugami. That was the original plan, yes. What? Yagi looks ready to stop Tsurugami. He doesn't. He can't, for when the dog's mind is made up, there's no changing it. But, given the circumstances, you have authorization to use your quirk and apprehend the man as long as you have supervision and backup. The class goes on without Izuku. Not much really happens, nothing eventful. Well, the choosing of names is pretty cool, pretty exciting, but not something he's going to miss that needs to be known. Albeit it being fun, Midnight is a little extra with her choosing. Alright, so who's going to go first? Her smile says it all. Either someone goes or she chooses. Okay then. You. She points to Aizawa, the French-Japanese boy who sparkles without trying, grins widely. He confidentially struts up to the podium and puts his whiteboard on display. The shining hero, I cannot stop sparkling. Okay, maybe you should take out the I and shorten the cannot to can't. Then she reveals it. Can't stop sparkling. A weird name, too long. It goes on like this. Alien Queen. No. Froppy Caro. So cute and friendly. Yes. Lord Explosion Murder. That sounds more like a villain's name, whispers someone. No. Gravity. I love the pun. Tentacle. I love it. The door opens and Izuku walks in, his eyes dull and face shadowed. Everyone has chosen a name, except him. Ida, Shouto, and Bakugo are indecisive. Although, Shouto doesn't seem like he'll change his name anytime soon. That leaves this kid left. Midoriya takes a small breath as he looks up, meeting Midnight's gaze. He hands her the note he was given and she stops. The teachers all know about the boy's position and they all have the same thoughts on it. They don't like it, but Nezu can see something that they cannot, so many alternate realities that deal with the future meeting of Stain and Midoriya. The look on Midoriya's face says it all. In a low voice, she asks, are you against it? A nod. A lot of people are too, but it's necessary. In what way? He asks. She shrugs and pats his shoulder. Who knows? Go and pick your name. Don't worry about this right now. He nods and makes his way to his seat. He's unaware of the looks he's receiving. After the bombshell dropped on him, he isn't really there at the moment. He received a recommendation from All Might's teacher, Gran Torino, and went back to people are confused, concerned with what they just spoke about. Jiru frowns. Her hearing is a little better than the others and she only caught a small bit of their conversation. Midoriya is the last one. They all wait respectively as he thinks and comes up with a few, but by the time he's up at the podium, he is wearing his sunglasses so that no one can see the internal turmoil in them as he holds out his whiteboard. Deku. He chose his name to be Deku. During Modern Lit, he stays quiet. His pencil scratching the paper of his notebook is the only indication he's even physically there at the moment. Izuku's hand stops. He has a distinct feeling that someone is trying to gain his attention, but he can't pinpoint who. He's distracted, thinking of what the chief of Hasu Police said. Does he know how that will only backfire? If I do end up engaging with the hero killer and survive, what then? Midoriya, shouts Ashido, finally breaking the trance he was put under. Are you okay? Please, refrain from screaming in class, little listener. Midoriya, you scream all the time, choruses the class. They all just stayed quiet. Sorry, I'm fine. Just thinking. What really? How deep in thought were you that didn't cause you to mutter? Asked Kaminari. I mean, seriously. What were you thinking about? Nothing of importance. His gaze never leaves his loud teacher who understands the look. He turns his attention away towards the window, staring out. But you need something from me. Why? We're about to go to lunch now. You really seemed out of it, so we thought that you might not hear the bell. Though, thank you, I guess. The bell rings after that. They all get everything and head out. Midoriya smiles and meets up with his friends. He puts the glasses on his head when he notices their looks of worry. Ida, Uraraka, and Todoroki. Deku, what's wrong? Ever since you came back from the teacher's lounge, you seem to be distant. The chief of police came and spoke to me. That gains the three's attention. Their full attention is on the short male. Todoroki frowns deeply and questions, is it about the Crimson murders? Did they start back up again? It's about Stain, responds Tenya before Izuku could answer. A small nod. Please, tell me they retracted their call for help? Midoriya. Wait, are you talking about the killings in Hasu? The two share glances of concern. They aren't sure how much has been released by people other than the news reports. Uraraka, how much of the case do you know about it? Just what the news have put out. Why? Just making sure, mutters Tenya. My father has spoken to the ward's officials. He might be taking the case. That means you two may work together. But you won't, right, Midoriya? That's what the meeting was about, right? He shakes his head solemnly. No, I am still on the case. They fall silent, watching him regain his train of thought. Should I tell them? No, this is ridiculous. I can't even fathom why they're allowing me on this case. I'm not close enough, and with the internships, I can't even go. I have a special recommendation that it's best not to avoid, so there is no way I'll be near Hasu. Not to mention, if the public catches a whiff of this, how do you think the media will act? But the Crimson murders. I know, Todoroki. I can do that under the radar because it wouldn't be weird for me to be around. I live here, so that's not something people will blink at. A simple lie of being in the wrong place at the wrong time and bam, people have no clue. Somewhere in Hasu, That's not going to blow over lightly. I have authorization to use my quirk and apprehend stain as long as I have supervision and backup. I can't tell that to them. No, Ada won't take it too lightly. He's already seems to want revenge. Midoriya sighs and eats his food, rubbing his face. When did my life become like this? You willingly choose to work them, answers Todoroki. He has a soft smile at the look he receives. You cannot argue because it's true. It's okay, Midoriya. Well, if you need any insight, I can send you the updates. I'm going to be taking the internship under my dad. I thought I was the only person that breaks the law. Midoriya, gasps Ida, aghast with the information that he just learned. It was so loud that people look over to them. He blinks and sits back down, after apologizing for interrupting. What do you mean you break the law? He whispers. He laughs softly, his face covered with red. Izuku wraps a curl around his finger, humming as he smiles innocently. I have a friend who hacks into police files and sends them to me via USB drive. How else am I supposed to get updates of the crimes I slowly get pulled into? While, yes, I complained about the case, the others I've been on were different, so this one is weird. I don't like it. Weird, not horrifying. One knows no horror until one ventures into the human mind. Anonymous. He leans back as he takes a sip of his drink, watching their reactions. I've seen and researched many crimes, murders, kidnappings, rape, a mixture of all three. Two of the more openly emotional friends stare in horror. Uraraka's face shows that she feels sick, almost as if she cannot believe it, the way he speaks devoid of emotion. The human mind can be quite horrible. That is what makes it so interesting. Like one can become used to seeing blood, some can get used to seeing such terrible things. This to me, killing heroes, is just weird. It takes a lot more for it to be horrifying. What is your thoughts? Uraraka stares on in horror, not able to wrap her mind around what he just said. Deku, you're 15. How can you be so apathetic to it all? I'm not apathetic. Well, yes, I may be used to seeing those things. I am not apathetic. I just know how to keep a level head. So it's easy to accept these things happen because of the nature of that one person. If the emotions are strong enough, people will react in a certain way, says Todoroki. You know that no matter what happens, this will happen somewhere else. Exactly. It's a terrible view, but it's realistic. That is why I want to be a hero, so that I can stop these people. Villains, low-life criminals. He sighs and pushes his food away. Not hungry anymore. He looks away and pulls his phone out. I'm done. Sorry for wasting your time and making you uncomfortable. He walks away with a sigh, feeling he just messed up. He accidentally meets with Yaoyorozu. He smiles softly before he stops. Wait, have you eaten? Yes, I'm on my way to our next class. Is something wrong? She nods, listening to his explanation. All right, I'll give it to you the day we leave. Thank you, Razu. You're a lifesaver. In a literal way, too. They exchange smiles and hold a small conversation. At first it's because she's confused by the nickname he gave her, but she's soon accepted it. They separated once people stream in, sending a few glances over at each other. Midoriya noticed the dwindling confidence in her. I should do something. As they head out for their internships, Izuku and Uraraka walk up to Ida. They look at him with concern. Todoroki hangs behind the two, watching them. Ida, how are you faring? I'm okay, Midoriya. Ida's glare takes him aback, but he says nothing. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have snapped at you. I understand you two are trying to help me, but really, I'm fine. He fixes his bifocals, pinching the bridge of his nose. I won't do anything stupid, okay. Uraraka smiles and nods, hugging him before going to meet up with a few of her other friends. Midoriya stays and looks at him. You won't go looking for Stain, right? He hesitates. I won't. Don't worry. He turns and at that moment, Midoriya pats Ida's back. They separate and Midoriya turns to Todoroki. I'm worried. Let's just hope he keeps to it. Will you be working on the case? I might. Who knows if my mentor will let me. Keep me posted. We might see each other. They bid farewell and Midoriya gets on his train. He puts on earbuds, listening to Dachira's song imitation. He hums and takes out his notebook, writing information that he knows about the hero killer. The tenseness in his body is enough to show how stressed he is with knowing that Ida might do something he will regret. Subconsciously, Izuku starts scratching his wrist where the marking hides. It won't show up until he loses the chance, so hopefully he is careful this week. Gran Torino, how much will you hate me by the end of this week? Aizawa-sensei didn't give me the nickname, problem child, for nothing. He glances out of the window and watches the city pass by. Can you help me? Can you really help me with one for all? Arriving to the street, Midoriya looks around for a bit. He smiles at a few of the pedestrians, waving at a few kids here and there before venturing further. The building doesn't look like it's an abode. There's a welcome sign hanging above the steps of the rundown building. Checking the address again. Yeah, this is it. Stealing his nerves, Midoriya treks up to the door and knocks. No answer. He glances around and sees the crack. It's open, okay. One more time. He knocks one more time before checking the knob. It's unlocked. He slowly opens it, eyes scanning everything while keeping his guard up in case there's someone in here. He stumbles upon the gruesome scene. Good food has been spilled. Oh boy, is the food okay? Oh, there's also an old man. Is he even Bria? Yeah, he's fine. Sir, I quote him alive. He doesn't receive much reaction. A deadpan look. Man, that's my best trick. How did you know? I study crime scenes. Oh, they stare at each other for a few moments, Midoriya thinking that he may have the wrong house. But he knows that he shouldn't judge based on appearance alone. He reads his movements. The way he holds himself even thought Gran Torino is on the floor. He can see that while he may be old, he can still put up a fight. Before Midoriya can even get a word in, the man's face scrunches up in question. Who are you? Oh, my name is Midoriya Izuku. My hero alias is Deku. He licks his chapped lips, taking his sunglasses off. You're Gran Torino. I haven't heard of you. Not many people have. I usually kept out of the spotlight. Midoriya nods in slight understanding, setting his suitcase down. The interior, in a small sense, is homey, but at the same time somewhat it is run down. It seems that the man has lived here for a long time. The musty smell of his scent set deep into the wood. He looks around, taking in the scene and coming up with routes of escape just in case, mentally noting things that may be important later on. So you taught Toshinori. He told you his name. No, a friend of his did. And I also read his classified police file. The around him is casual as he shrugs nonchalantly as if reading people's files is just a natural occurrence in his life. I would have read yours, but I did not have time to call a friend for the deed. You break the law. Details. He waves off the accusation. I have access to a few people, but it depends on the person. It's just easier to attain information via hacking. He pushes his hair back out of his face. Those eyes have a glimmer in them. He is constantly thinking and running through ideas quicker than a falcon in a nosedive. I like learning information about people. It helps a lot in a fight, even if it's not a lot. The more you know about someone, it can be extremely helpful. Gran Torino has taught only 1 year. That was to be Yaga's homeroom teacher. But, in all his years, he never met someone like Yaga's successor. Barely known him for 5 minutes and he's already proves to have a high intelligence and a knack to analyze situations quite fast. If he didn't know his quirk, he would have thought the boy would have had an analysis quirk. Those green eyes seem to scout the room as if he feels like he's in some kind of danger. He's looking for a variety of escape routes. Put on your hero suit and use one for all on me. His gaze snaps over to the old man in surprise. You want me to break my bones? I honestly have no self-control with one for all. Not to mention that this is a small place. Just do it. Midoriya sighs and opens the case. He puts on the suit, so much different and so much better. While it held similar designs, it was less Reaper-like. The gloves stayed the same, red leather with black metallic claws. The black sash that holds his scythe is still there. The white stripes were replaced with black, the green now lighter. Black lines wrap around his arms and he has elbow pads. He has knee pads and shin guards. A red belt with 4 pouches rests on his waist. His hood is similar but doesn't cover his face too much, now a regular hood. Black combats with blood-red laces. His mask is now at just the skull grin and the nose. He summons his scythe, putting under the small couch. He doesn't want to accidentally summon it. The entire time, watchful eyes never leave him. They take in his movements and not even blink when the scythe appears. Toshinori, you picked quite the odd one. Albeit, I can see that he has a good heart. Kid, you look like the hero version of the Grim Reaper. Be glad this is the upgrade. The last one looked as if the actual Grim Reaper decided to come out of the underworld. He stretches his back. All right, kid, let's see what you got. Wait. He doesn't wait. Gran Torino uses his quirk to bounce off the walls and start attacking the kid. 1 hit, 2, 3. Izuku gets yelled at by Torino telling him to use his quirk. He doesn't. Not yet. His eyes scanning everything, trying to predict his moves. He attacks from behind. This is making him frustrated. He dodges, sidestepping and trying to figure out something. What can he do? He can't break his bones. No, that won't do. Damn it. What now? He answers his phone while keeping up with Torino. The elder man's eyes widen at the sight. He doesn't let up seeing as he can still keep up with him. He's not using one for all and he already figured my way of fighting. He sure is one heck of a strategist. That festival showed that. What is being said? He looks angry. Stain attacks in the Alice. Who said other? I do not care what that idiot said. Stain, the hero killer. If so, who is he talking to? Why is he talking about Stain? The kid dodges once again, yelling at the person on the other line. His tone is icy cold, sharp and filled with anger at the fact someone is trying to get more people killed. Tell him, I do not give a damn if he's the number 2 hero. He should be smarter than that. He hangs up, tossing his phone to the side and grabbing his leg and throwing him onto the couch to soften the landing. I knew I could do it. Physics is so easy, for me. You did that without using one for all. Gran Torino sighs and sits up straight, looking at the kid who refused in using his ability. Yet even then, he was able to use his own body against him. He analyzed the situation, but he should have been quicker. How is it no one has helped the kid with the skill? He can see exactly the reason for it. Or so he thinks. I told you, I can't use one for all without breaking myself, he murmurs sitting beside him after he retrieved his phone. He's rubbing his temple harshly. I need to figure it out. What do I do? Is it because? He trails off into intense muttering before he's cut off by his phone. I swear if it's Endeavor, no, never mind. Unknown. Ignore. So what's going on? You mentioned Stain, and you got mad. The kid is quite the mystery. Just where did Toshinori find him? His admiration for All Might is what keeps him shackled. But at the same time that is not the reason. So what's the other reason for him? Gran Torino, sure as hell, never met a kid like this. This kid was something else. He does not know a single person that would get as angry as he with the number 2 hero, or have the guts to even call him out on his stupidity for something. Izuku stares at him for a few seconds almost as if he's processing what was just asked. Oh, I'm helping on the hero killer case, but Endeavor keeps pissing me off and second-guessing me. Like, I know I'm a kid, but I do more than you. I don't even have to use my quirk and I can beat you with my arms tied behind back. You'll just burn everything. He huffs. The second part is not true, I'm just mad. But seriously, why would the hero killer kill in the open? Not a lot of people do that. Usually it's when they know they can get away with it. But Stain, he wants to continue killing, so there is no way he's going to be out in the open. Midoriya sighs deeply, leaning against the back of the couch. Gran Torino stays silent, taking in the situation. He whacks the boy on the head a couple of times once everything has processed in his mind. You're a kid. You shouldn't be wrapped up in something like this. The grin that he gets doesn't really reassure him, but he tried. I'll be wrapped up in it no matter my age. I just started on it way before I should have. I have had my age thrown at me so many times already because of this. A lot of people just don't get it. Just before you ask, I'm not apathetic. I've been accused of it already. He nods and makes a mental note to ask Toshinori why he wasn't alerted about the boy working on a police case. Oh, how he is annoyed about the revelation. Okay, let's get back to training. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification. So when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.